Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. Tap the screen, share the live. I think we were just getting live on Twitch and YouTube. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I'm just on mute. It's fine. Everything's fine today. Except for I'm still waiting for my new headphones to come. These suck, but couldn't miss. I just washed I finally took a shower, so I didn't want to use the other headphones I was wearing yesterday and like smash my hair, my wet hair. Give me 1 second. Hey, Leah, it's PJ. Hi. Thanks for being so prompt in the YouTube chat. God, something is wrong with YouTube today. Or I don't know what is going. It's like things aren't popular. Okay, I'm just gonna leave that be for now. Okay, I think we're okay. We're online. Everything's gonna be fine. Look, you guys, I showered. You're welcome. Everyone's welcome. Hey, Jaffs. You guys, wait, can you guys not hear me? You guys can hear me speaking right now, right? I was on mute before, but you should be able to now hear me speaking. If you cannot hear me, we have a very big problem. Okay, let's tap the screen. Tap, tap, tap. Let's work on getting arthritis all together. It's going to be so great. Put on your wrist braces, take your anti-inflammatories, and tap that screen. Oh my gosh. Chris keeps sending, Chris, venture capitalist, he is so, he sends the funniest memes. Oh my God. It's funny, also depressing, but, it's like, I'm not in, I can't keep up with meme culture. I remember, this is a really weird thing to remember, but I remember the first time when I started doing lives with Jay, with RTP, and I joined the Discord there, and I was like, what? And I was just like, I didn't even know this was a thing. Like the precision with which people can make memes or find memes. I was just like, I feel like I missed an entire cross section of culture or lesson on life. But I do love a funny meme. Celebrex, who said that? Sassy girl. This is the smartest chat on earth. That truly, people are like, why are you always hanging out online? Because that's where the smartest, funniest people, that's where anybody, my whole life I was like, why doesn't anyone understand me? If I had known all the crazy, intelligent, sarcastic weirdos were just hanging out online, waiting for me, I would have been here much sooner. Best decision of my life. That's the problem with the internet, though, I always say, especially when I worked for the internet. You know what I mean? In the tech industry. It's the internet is so amazing and so awful, all wrapped up, just like life. It truly does reflect life. It's the most amazing thing and also the most dangerous thing. Did I run today? Yes, but not that far. That's why I don't have a screen. I think I only made it 7.5 miles. So hopefully I'll finish it after this, which is probably even better, to get your heart rate up more than once. Normally I'm just one time a day I'm just running 10 miles, and then the rest of the day my heart rate is at 45. So and my dad is starting intermittent fasting. They're trying to see if that will help with his diabetes and things, which I do also. I've started. I'm fine eating one time a day, just eating in one window I think intermittent fasting is for me. I'm really starting to is it Friday? Oh my God, is it Friday? If it's Friday, I literally, someone said happy Friday. It's not Friday, is it? Okay, thank God. I was oh my God. Oh my God, this, I missed a day. I labeled every single thing. Oh, and because honestly, thank you so much. Because honestly, I believe that I'm wrong before, because that has happened to me before, and it's so scary to just truly believe it's one day, and then someone has to inform you that's not what day it is. That's the worst. I've shown up for meetings and like when I worked in the tech industry and sat in conference rooms by myself and then like started pinging people and being like, why aren't you in the meeting? And they're like, because our team meetings are on Tuesdays. It's Wednesday. And I'm like, that's a good reason to not be here. Let me slink out of this room in shame. You ran right through Thursday. Oh, I mean, I think time is always something that has fascinated me, but time since Trump has gotten in his second term is scary, right? It's going painfully slow, but also speeding along like a bullet train all at the same time. In crisis situations, time gets super weird, in my opinion. It's like, I can't wait for this 4 years to be over, but also it's like, I want to pause time because every day things get worse and worse and worse. Was 42 the nurse freaked out? Sorry, I'm literally reading. I read everyone's comments if I can. I try my best. Sometimes I have to give up on it. Follow, share, add to your story, and copy link. What is that? Are you talking to me, Dolphin? I'm not sure. Everyone? Yes. Oh, I get it. I got it. Let me we should pin that. Dolphin, are you a mod? Do you want to be if you're not? Because you're so much more... I'm making you a mod. You're more organized than... I'm making you a mod. You're a mod. Yeah. We need some more adults in the room. And also because just, I know, like, with work and me, like, dropping off the face of the earth for a while, for a couple months and stuff, some of, like, people that were mods before, like, now have jobs or other things going on. I mean, so, yeah, I think I should probably go back and look at that list. Someone else wants to... Okay, yeah, I can't make these decisions now except for... Wait, hold on. What is happening? Why can't I make... Melissa, I saw you say that. Here, I'm following you back. And so I'm going to add Melissa as well. Just because no one else say anything to me because I got it. What I really need to do, because I have like my I can't remember the exact number you can have. It's pretty full. I probably just made it completely full, but I need to go through what I need to do on some night. Wait, what? Okay. You can only add 30 moderators. See? Okay, hold on. Now I feel bad. Give me a second, Melissa, because I'm going to figure out how to add you, because I hate when I tell people I'm going to do something and then I let them down. Hold on. I'm just going to open my account on my phone because I don't know how to do anything I'm about to do from TikTok Studio. I'm going to figure... Oh, wait. Now, okay, yeah. You go to Monitor Live, or... I just learned how to do this. Live Studio. Monitor Live. Okay, I found it. Thank God. Why is everything so difficult? Oh, wait, no. Maybe this is not it. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud how I do this. I'm trying to think about how to add moderators because I don't think it's in Monitor Live. Let me try one more thing. Security and permissions. I'm going to have to figure this out. Hold on. Melissa, can you just come back to the first thing when I start the live tomorrow and I can... Here, let me also take a screenshot. Oh, wait, I don't know how to do... How do you take a screenshot on PCs? I'm going to remember this. Here, I'm going to take... This, don't watch me. This is like something a weirdo... embarrassing. I'm taking a picture of your account with my phone, Melissa, so that way I can remember and add you. Like I said, yeah, I have a bunch of mods. It's just I've gotten so many messages in the last 2 months and people are like, oh, like I got a job, I can't do this anymore. So I just need to like figure out who those people are and also how to take the mod thing away, and then I will add you. I now have a picture. So I will follow through on that, I promise. Sorry. And I should not... No, Dolphin, I think you're a mod. Are you not a mod, Dolphin? When I added you, fine, and I think that was my last slot, and then I think Melissa I tried to add, and it said... Yeah, I think... Yeah, so you were my last slot. So I'm going to find... And I should make a formal announcement and, like, see if people... really have the time to do it. We'll do that later. That's the part of this I hate. All the back end admin stuff. That's why I'm so disorganized. I have executive function paralysis. And that's why, like, facts still, Matt Steve is always like, this is why you need to let people help you. But the problem with that is I was raised by, two not very nice people. So what I was taught from a very young age is if you let someone give you a penny, then you owe them something. You know what I mean? Like, I was raised, like, if my mom, you would think your mother would just do things for you. But if I needed something from her, then I was going to owe her something. So, yeah, can't trust people to help you. So I've, like, developed. Steve's like, why can't you just let people help you? I'm like, oh, you just have no idea. Like, in my mind, it's like creating a problem. Yeah, you don't ask for help. And if you do, then you're going to have to pay it back, like, times 10,000. See, that's why I love these. Everyone gets it in here. Let me just say something. Some people in here are going to understand what I'm about to. This will take 5 seconds, but I'm doing it. I know this is petty and weird, but people who know me are like, you're so smart. Like, why are you watching, like, trashy reality TV? Because it's an escape. Because my brain is constantly working. I'm analyzing things. I'm hyper vigilant. I'm, like, assessing threats all the time. And mindless, idiotic reality TV lets me take a break from that. Also, I like to watch human behavior. That's what I like, is to watch human behavior. So, I don't know if anyone's ever, if you're like, I hate reality TV, I could never watch it. Let me give you a recommendation. Check out Below Deck. Like, every man I've ever dated who's like, I hate reality TV. I will never watch this show. Be quiet. And if I put on Below Deck, they're like, wait a minute. So this is like the crew of a super yacht. And then they have people, like, they have guests on, and they just record, like, the boat, like, crashing into things and breaking down, and and rich people, like, shitting on the poor. Yeah, I think Below Deck, if you're trying to get, like, your husband or a boyfriend or somebody into reality TV and they don't like it, every single man I have ever showed reality or Below Deck to, they're like, oh yeah, no, I like this. This is interesting. Okay. Hey, Nikki, thank you for coming. Thank you for bringing a tardy slip. Don't disturb the class. Just sit down. So anyways, now, so I'm just saying, reality TV is kind of my escape from the fascist takeover. Like, I used to love, like, political dramas, like political thrillers, anything where they even talk about politics. I'm like, I can't listen to this. Like, our own situation is like World War II nightmare. We don't need to, like, relive other political nightmares. So I go to decompress and watch a little Below Deck today. Now, if you watch Below Deck, there's Below Deck Sailing Yacht, there's Below Deck Mediterranean, and then there's the original Below Deck, which generally happens in the Caribbean. And by the way, Captain Jason can get it. That is the hottest man on Earth. Pause. Captain Jason is quite literally the hottest man on Earth. If you know what I'm talking about, you know how hot Captain Jason is. But anyways, so I turn it on today, and now this is why I might not be able to watch reality TV. Meet Leah. Okay, so what's going on Below Deck Mediterranean is they're, like, off the coast of Barcelona, and they pick up, like, 7 people, and it's a quote-unquote matchmaker for billionaires or people with hundreds of millions of dollars. They've rented this yacht. It's some, like, rich 40, I think he's 49, I think he's 49 or something like that. He looks like he's 65, just to be clear. I'm like, you are not 49, sir. So it's him and 6, Gumps knows. Gumps knows. I'm talking about Leah, Gumps. I'm talking about Leah. I had to record it because I was like, I will never forget this. Like, one woman is Miss World 20. So it's this really rich guy, the matchmaker, and 6 women, and they're all trapped on this yacht, and he's like, I guess, I was like, this is like an Epstein situation, and he's gonna, like, choose which one he likes or something. He was 65, he's not 47. Okay, so one woman whose name is Leah, I recorded my phone. This is why my morning was ruined. Let's meet Leah. It's like, how could you be this excited about a lying grifter who covers up crimes against children?
We definitely need some bomb photos. This is just a warm up because this is not my official outfit for the yacht.
Tell me about yourself.
I'm an opera singer.
Awesome.
And I just sang for President Trump.
Badass.
I know. So fun. The speed.
See probably what just happened. After she says, I just sang for President Trump, what she's doing is mouthing, I love him. Like, I'm not doing this. Like, and the guy's face, if you zoom in on this, he's like, oh yeah, me too. Well, and then again, if that man truly has hundreds of millions of dollars, yeah, I'm sure he does love Trump. I'm sure tax evasion is why he loves Trump. So that makes more sense. But please don't bring, what has happened to our country? That's what I was saying. Please don't bring this to Bravo, which is the executive producer. Andy Cohen is like a gay man. So a very, very wealthy gay man. But I'm always interested in the more human behavior I observe on reality TV, the more I'm interested or I'm noticing, like TLC, the quote unquote learning channel, they make billions of dollars finding backwoods fundamentalist religious families who are abusing women and then put them on camera and like cover up the abuse so they can make money. It's terrifying to watch. It's very scary. Like, people are put in these situations. Welcome. That's literally what I was talking about. And I'm not going to get into it too much. But like before that, it was like Kate Plus 8 or the Duggars. That man was Jim Bob, literally that's his name. I'm not saying that as a joke. Duggar, his son was literally graping and essaying his sisters over and over. And all that came out. And what did they do? Absolutely nothing. TLC tried to just keep the show on the air. Yeah, exactly. The best thing about reality TV is Reddit, number one, and like people's comments on Reddit and watching and analyzing human behavior. But the sad thing about reality TV is these are basically indentured slaves, right? It's literally their reputation, their financial future, like the court of public opinion is against them. They pay them next to nothing. Like, if you want to make a regular TV series, you're going to have to pay people money, like professional actors. They cost more money. They just go find randos and are like, oh, we'll give you $500 an episode and just film them while they're in different stages of like abuse and other stuff. Your live doesn't come up on TikTok. You can only find it by entering your ID. Well, that's great to hear. Yeah, that can be for a number of reasons. I'm not going to... And let's put it this way. Every reason that could be is nothing I can control. If there's one thing I learned working in the tech industry, it's just like control the controllable and you got to just accept the rest. So... hopefully it'll be okay. If not, maybe I'll promote the live. But let's tap the screen. Let's get to tapping. And I saw you guys say update the live goal. I'm going to do that now before we get started. I have a lot of interesting things to show you guys. I've basically, just since we last saw each other, just been watching and researching and clipping. I think I missed you guys so much. It's like these 2 weeks back, having you all in my life have been amazing. Much better than before. Okay, now I remember. I want to start before I get into the Epstein stuff and then the Adelita Grijalva stuff and what has been going on with Congress. I wanted to just play this Robert Reich clip. If you're just joining, did I get a violation? Hold on a second. I didn't. I'm just checking that the live hasn't gotten violations because it is whatever. View your. Nope, I don't think so. I think we're good so far. But let's just tap the screen because I have noticed, I wasn't live for 2 months and never posted anything, so this could just be my punishment in the algorithm. Who knows? This is my punishment for not being live every day. Okay, sorry. Okay, I want to play this Robert Reich clip. If you're not remembering who he is, I know everyone remembers things better than I do, but Robert Reich is Bill Clinton's former labor secretary. He's an economics professor at UC Berkeley. I think he technically retired this summer, but when I watch him teaching, it just makes me I would love to annex one of his classes or just beg him to sit in the back and listen. But listen to this clip because I saw this clip and people's comments underneath, and then I started like looking into like trying to prove this mathematically and policy wise. So just tell me, I just want you guys to know, do you agree with what he's saying here?
Behind much of this discussion of how government designs the market, enforces the market, creates the market, is a collective ethical question. Who is the market for? How the market is going to be organized has a bearing on inequality of income and wealth and racial inequality. Ideally, in a democracy, they are responding to what we might call the public interest, the greater good, the common good. But we can't avoid the question of power. Those in government who are making decisions that organize and design and enforce the market are responding, presumably, to some set of demands or incentives coming from somewhere. We're not talking about something that was, oh, that's just a nice thing to do. No, you're talking about dealing with entrenched interests that don't want to change the balance of power. Poverty is a policy decision. Concentrated wealth is a policy decision. Inequality is a policy decision.
I mean, when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that's such a great way to teach it, and it's so true. What scares me most, especially because when you when you look at the makeup, and I mean the makeup of the people, you know, the cross section of Americans who are MAGA, the vast majority of them are uneducated and very poor, right? So when you hear those three statements, I did a statistical analysis on this. Poverty is a policy decision. Concentrated wealth is a policy decision. Inequality is a policy decision. And underneath this comment, and there was one guy who's like a Trump supporter who actually made an intelligent comment, but I wanted to be like, yeah, you're describing socialism, weirdo. Like the only smart comment underneath this, like most of MAGA was like, no, it's not. People are just lazy and they need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and get to work. Anybody can be a billionaire as long as you just try hard. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because MAGA has never taken a statistics class or truly does not understand economics. That's not true. Like, it's literally, that's an impossibility. Which, by the way, can we get a couple super fans today? Why does no one want to be a super fan of mine? I would like it if someone wanted to. But I want to actually, let me see if I can pull it up. I've recently realized some of you are DeepSeek is cheating on me with some of you, but my favorite free AI app, and I don't know if DeepSeek has a gender, basically we have these conversations where I'm like, here's what I want. It's like a professor, talking to me, or we have like discussions about this. And I wanted to show you this discussion I was having with DeepSeek, and I think, I forgot about this. I have to screenshot it. I can't enlarge it. But here's the parts I want to point out. Absolutely. And that's why I always say politics matters. Policy, federal government policy, not to say state policy is not important as well, but when we talk about national, like the poverty line and things, federal policy absolutely can drive poverty, or it can, get us some relief from poverty, as well as it can drive inequality. We have never had more inequality, more transfers of wealth, and concentration of wealth at the top of the economy. And when you talk to MAGA about this, they're just like delusional. They're just like, yeah, that's because the Democrats spend too much. Republicans spend more than Democrats. And since we've switched basically to modern monetary theory, I advise MAGA to figure out what that is. But I just wanted to point out, if you're interested in this, because I got really interested in it, there's two things. The Gini coefficient, which actually, I forgot. I actually did screenshot definitions that I could make larger, that we can all see together. Give me 1 second. Which I feel like the Gini coefficient sounds like we've all heard about that, but the Gini coefficient is a measure of statistical dispersion used to represent income or wealth inequality within a population. The Gini coefficient is always ranging between 0 to 1. A coefficient of 0 denotes perfect equality in a population within a country. Everyone has same income. That's 0, would be a 0 rated, the Gini coefficient. While a coefficient of 1 means perfect inequality, right? It was developed by Italian statistician Corrado Gini, which I love to learn actual history of. So I didn't know that. Corrado Gini in 1912. How it works: the coefficient is calculated using the area between the line of perfect equality, which we're going to get to, and the population's actual income distribution curve, which is what I'm going to talk about next, which I didn't know much about, the Lorenz curve. Interpretation: a higher Gini coefficient indicates greater inequality, while a lower one indicates more equality. So I'm trying to think, is there anything? Okay. Yeah, data inaccuracies, I think that's normal. But here's what I didn't know that much about: the Lorenz curve. So the Lorenz curve is a graphical representation of income or wealth distribution within a population. It plots the cumulative percentage of a population on the x-axis against the cumulative percentage of total income or wealth on the y-axis. A 45-degree diagonal line up and to the right represents perfect equality, and the further the curve bows beneath the, you can see that, bows, that represents more inequality, right? Am I saying that right? Yeah. The curve shows the, yeah, okay. The further the curve bows below this line, the greater the inequality. Yeah, so I find this fascinating, and I was just asking, let me go back to the thing that my AI economics professor and I were debating for a while this morning while I was running. So the core not just an absolute measure, right? Example, living on, the one thing would be like, oh, if you're living on less than $2.15 a day. But a relative one within a society, policy directly determines the resources available, obviously. The poverty line is at, I feel like I'm just rereading definitions. I want to find my part. Anyways, I'm actually not going to do this right now. I'm going to streamline it because I feel like I didn't separate out the definitions and the discussions between the actual information. So I feel like I'm going to be fishing around because this is actually long. Thank you. That is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And now in my ADHD, look. Yeah, I'm going to go through here's the mathematical proof, but I'd also like to enlarge it so people can screenshot it. So let me take care of this and we can talk about this tomorrow. But it's made me think a lot, right? Like, just know with the Gini coefficient and the Lorenz curve and with these AI chatbots that are brilliant, we can track inequality, the growth of inequality over time, right? And I'm just saying that, like, I don't know if that would change. I don't think MAGA has no idea what the Gini coefficient is, what the Lorenz curve is. But absolutely, right, when you get into these arguments, if you are interested in a way to show the growth of inequality over time, AI chatbots can just produce these graphs. And I thought that was very interesting. And it's also a good way to frame things, right? Because there seems to be this thing going on in America where it's okay for Republican, pathological, lying, insecure, weirdo senators to just show up on Fox and be like, yeah, every white male in this country under 30 who doesn't own a home is lazy, and it's not that they have to live in their mom's basement, it's that they want to, so they don't have to do anything. And at any moment, they could all pull themselves up by the bootstraps and be homeowners. And since we last Friday, so almost a week ago, we were watching those clips of the average age of a first-time homeowner is now 40. It used to be like, what was it, 28? And the average age of a repurchase of a home is, what was it? Was it 59? Like, the average mortality rate or life expectancy is 78. So I've just been trying to think of ways, because, you know, I do love to pull out math on MAGA because it drives them nuts. But we can no longer allow MAGA to keep doing the anecdotal, well, I saw on Fox that kids are playing video games in their basement. It's like, yeah, thank you for that anecdotal story that tells us nothing. But I think this will be the way I frame things, right? Poverty is a policy decision. Inequality is a poverty decision, or inequality is a policy decision, right? And that's how we have to frame it, and then be able to call up proof. And sorry, I think about a lot of things, but I think that's going to be important, because I'm so tired of just listening to MAGA being like, hey, I have some feelings, and every feeling is something I heard on Fox News, and I'm going to scream it and then try to gaslight you. It's like, yeah, it just drives me nuts. Okay. I feel better now that I said that. Let's move on. I want to show one more meme that Chris sent me this morning. I think I screenshotted it and it's here. And then I want to show a clip from Adam Kinzinger I forgot to play yesterday, which I was like looking last night. I was like, how could I not play this? Isn't this funny? What, Liz? Like, this is reality of the Republicans right now. Are you guys okay? Like, did you get Men in Blacked with that wand light, and that's why you guys reset your brains every 24 hours? Is that what's going on now? Hey, Lexi, miss you. Like, that's how, this is probably the most accurate. Oh yeah, that's funny. I know. No, I'm talking, there are people that are mods. People that are here every day. That's not what I'm talking about. There are people that are mods that contact me and we're like, I have a job and I can't mod anymore. If you're here all the time, that's not what I'm talking about. But I do hate, like, if you're a mod and then you suddenly get that message that's like, this person removed you as a mod. And it's like, even if you're still their friend, you just feel like, that hurts. It's like, I don't know. So I do get that as well. But I need to get mods who can be here because I can't manage things on my own. GOP freaking out over Epps vote. Oh, yeah, they're absolutely freaking out. And I mean, to be a Republican, or let me say it this way, to be MAGA, and I mean the constituents, the average uneducated MAGA person who, you know, has no idea what's going on. Even for Republicans, because I think MAGA at this point, they are in cognitive dissonance. They don't even require that much management at this point. That one woman that Fax introduced us all to, knitting cult lady, who's amazingly brilliant and always talks about high control groups. Like, at this point, the cognitive dissonance is managing itself, right? Like, if at any moment you don't keep supporting Trump or you don't like Daniela, thank you. I almost said Daniela, thank you. Thank you so much. If you read any information you're not supposed to, if you express reality, if you say, hey, you guys, are you still with him? Then you will be thrown out of the cult. So it's almost like at this point, they're completely self-correcting. Chris also sent me this. Did you know that Trump, I try not to watch his Oval Office spectacles. I mean, I know what's going on, but it's hard. He's having a former, like, Taliban general in his office. And he said that I'm trying to remember, he said that he had a tough time, you know, and that's why it's okay that Trump's friends with him now and inviting him to the White House. Like, this is where we're at now. This man is out of his mind. And if you can identify it, something's wrong. Okay, I promised myself okay, Adam Kinzinger clip. I wanted to show you guys this yesterday because I just love Adam Kinzinger's energy. I'd have this energy too. I don't know why he doesn't run again for Congress or something. Probably because he realized he can make more money outside of there and deal with less BS. Oh, hold on. Okay.
All right, guys, listen. We need to have a talk. All right. Donald Trump knew. Donald Trump was part of it. It's obvious. Everything, all the signs are pointing to it. Okay, listen. He's now threatening any Republican that signs the discharge petition, which is like the thing that forces the Epstein files for a vote on the floor of the House of Representatives. He's threatening them. Why? Why did he promise to release him and then all of a sudden freak out? Why did he have the FBI count the number of times his name appeared in the files, by the way? Why did he just move Ghislaine Maxwell, who's like this guy's main accomplice, to a really nice federal prison? Why did they cut a deal with her? Why is she now having concierge service, which came out this weekend? He's promising her either commutation or pardon.
I don't know if you know, just to speak on that, if you haven't, there's several articles that have come out about what is going on with Ghislaine Maxwell's awesome. I mean, can I get that? She has a better life than I do, it sounds like. But there's several articles and they're not that long. If you haven't checked this out, the other really scary thing about it that I don't think he mentions is the reason we know about any of this is because of whistleblowers. People who have risked life and limb and future safety to be like, hey, like I'm in this prison and this woman has concierge service and has a butler bringing her trays of food that she orders from outside the prison to her room, and she has a puppy and nobody else has that stuff. So there have basically been like threats made like, hey, you better keep your mouth shut, whistleblowers will be punished. But a lot of what we know is because people inside, I mean, it's just a minimum security prison, right? Like it sounds nice in and of itself, but that she is getting all this special treatment. Yeah, I get it, MAGA. You literally celebrate people that hurt children. I mean, quite literally, that you should put that on t-shirts. Oh, you hurt a child? Come over here. We support you. That is what you are doing at this point. And I was thinking about that guy who now I can't remember his name, who was yelling at me yesterday when I let him on the live. And he was saying like, why didn't Joe Biden ever release the files? You guys didn't care then. And I told him, hey, the only accountability, the only administration that ever brought justice to any of these victims was Joe Biden's, but twofold. And I would just want to say this because I feel like we're all going to be faced, and I think it's actually an indictment on how dumb MAGA is. That's all I've got is to just repeat that. So it's the answer to that question, and it's twofold. Number one, right? And MAGA should know this, but they don't know anything. When you are trying to prosecute someone, like, say, I don't know, Ghislaine. I like how Adam calls her Ghislaine. Did you notice that? Ghislaine. Joe Biden's DOJ, I should say, Merrick Garland, was prosecuting Ghislaine. You cannot release any files, any information to the public when you are trying to prosecute someone. Because you could taint the jury pool. It's not allowed. Right? And suspiciously, the only thing that happened during Trump's first administration is that Jeffrey Epstein suddenly was no longer with us. Biden took office and they prosecuted Ghislaine and could not release the files, period. That's why. It's not that hard. Oh, and I'm taking notes. I have so much info. I've clipped thousands of things. I literally took notes on this in case I couldn't remember my second point. Let me find my second point. I should know this. I was just thinking it. My brain. I have too much information in there. Where is my point? Wait, what was I'm just going to remember it on my own. So the first point is that they were prosecuting him. They couldn't release the files. And I'm going to find this. I can't believe that I was just thinking the second thing I had to say and then it left my freaking brain. What kind of weird is that? Sorry. I'm literally looking at the chat. Sometimes I just wait for you guys to bail me out when I can't remember things. I'm like, if I just sit here long enough, someone's going to figure it out for me, that I don't have to do it. God, and the second point's a good one too, so I kind of need to figure it out. I could. Here, I'm just gonna see if I can find it again. What are the two? I didn't get this from DeepSeek, but I'm gonna ask 2 reasons that the. Oh yeah, okay. Let's see if it comes up. Yeah, here we okay. Legal no confirmed policy considerations, Justice Department. Oh yeah. That's what okay. God, why couldn't I remember that? Sorry, something is wrong with me. Yeah, and then the second part and what I was talking to that guy about yesterday, which maybe it should be in the opposite order. We should say it the opposite. The first part is very simple, that what Trump is doing now is a violation of the Constitution, right? The DOJ, the man running the DOJ, like under Biden, it was Merrick Garland, should not be sitting in cabinet meetings on their knees for Trump. What Pam Bondi is doing, which is basically taking Trump's like hit list and indicting people and somehow finding, Trump is basically like, hey, here's the list of people that tried to hold me accountable and now I want to ruin their lives. That's not how the DOJ should work. And I will say this, of all presidents, I would say Joe Biden was the biggest rule follower I think I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, right? But now it's interesting to see the contrast. Like Joe Biden was like, I'm such a believer in the American institutions. Like we have to follow the rules. We've got to do the right thing or institutions will crumble. And think about the juxtaposition of that and what is going on now. It's terrifying, right? And because Joe Biden was such a rule follower and Merrick Garland, like, I don't know. I think he was slow walking things, but I've listened to a lot of analyses about that. And I honestly think it was because they were scared. They were doing something that had never been done. And they were trying to debate, like, hey, what's going to happen if we do this? Should we? And they wasted so much time. It never happened. But again, never should Joe Biden be sitting around having conversations or handing the Department of Justice a list and being like, here's who I need indicted. Right? And we know for a fact, for many facts, that this is what Trump is doing. It's just another sign he's violating constitutional law.
Because he's in the freaking files and because she can put him down, and now this information's coming out and more. Guys, obviously Trump is in the files. Obviously Trump knew Epstein, and obviously this is what happened. Listen, he sent him a birthday card with a drawing of an outline of a naked, certainly not a big older woman. And it said, our little secret, our little secrets. And then he claims he never wrote that and that was fake, even though that somehow you would have to go back in time to create that. And we know Trump lies about everything. So now you have one choice for those that are still defending him. Either you have to admit that anybody associated with Epstein is a dirty son of a beat and you've got to turn against them, or you have to say, yeah, I'm willing to make exceptions because this guy hates the same people I do. And if he hates people with blue hair like I do, then guess what? He can do whatever he wants to children. You got to quit watching your little, trafficking DVDs and getting all angry about it if you're willing to defend this guy.
That is the best line of logic. I'm so mad I didn't play it yesterday. That's the truth, right? If you are MAGA and you are, let's say right now in this chat, defending Trump, that's the line of logic you're on. You're saying, hey, this guy has done horrific, unspeakable things to either abuse or cover up the abuse of tiny children. And that's okay with me because I feel deeply insecure about my ability to compete in a meritocracy. I hate women. I hate brown people. I fear that I am too insecure and too dumb to be successful on my own. So I need to remove like a huge percentage of the population from the competitive market. Like, that's it. That's what you're saying. You're saying, hey, and I've heard Christians say this, like when I watch Right Wing Watch and I do the what are the Christian nationalists up to, that is what they say. They say, plug your nose and vote. This is just what we have to do. We've got to figure, like truly. Remember, like these are the people that apparently are so pro-life because we need to deny women health care. And if we have less babies and more women die of sepsis, that's fine because praise the Lord. That, remember Herschel Walker? I remember, I probably have it somewhere. This podcast, blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman. I don't remember her name, but I think Jay knew who she was. I didn't know who she was. MAGA podcaster who's like, yeah, you just have to. Like, I'm pro-life. I don't like what Herschel Walker has done. I don't like that he has hurt women and, paid for 18 million right around there. I'm rounding down. ABs, but this is what we have to do. Like, you are the ultimate hypocrites at every single turn, quite literally. And I thought that was I'm so sorry I didn't remember to play that yesterday, because Adam Kinzinger, I love the energy. Oh, and I found my post thing about that I actually wrote about why didn't Biden release the Epstein files. This is what I wrote earlier. The Epstein records were sealed by a judge. See, I knew I had actual dates. The Epstein records were sealed by a judge until after Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. They weren't unsealed until January 2024. And by then, MAGA, if you can count and think back, which you can't, so this won't make any sense to you. So just see yourself out of the conversation. We had other problems then, right? We were focused on the presidential election, and they were lying about Biden's, cognitive ability and all of that. And I could list a million other things that were going on. So it wasn't a priority. And more importantly, we did not have the majority in the House. So remember, they were trying to they were never going to call for the vote, but they were holding those impeachment congressional hearings. And one of the things I hate most about the Democratic Party is how we're always on the defense. And I would say that period of time, we were constantly just reacting and defending Joe Biden against whatever rando lies people were making up next. And she continued appealing, but I think we're talking about a specific judge's order of the files were free. But and Ghislaine is still appealing. Or not anymore that she's in the cushy person. I don't know if but I mean, I don't know if she's exhausted every appeal process, but so again, in case you ever need to explain that to an idiot, the Epstein records were sealed by a judge until after Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. They weren't unsealed until January 2024, so no, Biden couldn't release what wasn't legally available. Biden didn't run a cult. He let the DOJ operate independently, unlike Trump, who demands loyalty oaths and treats every agency like his personal operative. See, when my brain's working, I write so much better. And no Democrat ran on a platform promising to release the Epstein files. Trump did, and then blocked them all. Which again, and it's fascinating to watch insecure MAGA men blame us for Trump lying. At what point do you punch up and hold the man who's stealing from you, who's grifting, who promised you things that aren't coming to fruition? When do you guys all put your big boy pants on and hold the person that lied to you accountable? Is that day coming? My guess is no. My guess is it is not coming. Remember yesterday we were talking about Sean Spicer, by the way, and literally Marjorie Taylor Greene was on his show last night. I was like, I feel like we conjured up Sean Spicer, like showing up. Marjorie showing up on Sean Spicer's show. I was like, this is crazy. Sorry, I'm just getting my Summer Lee stuff. Hold on. I love Summer Lee. She's one of my favorite representatives in the House that gets no credit for anything. Oh, before that, though, I want to show you guys this. Because I'd heard about this, but I didn't really know what it was. Have you guys heard of the Streisand effect? It's like I knew I'd heard of it, but I was like, what is that again? So the Streisand effect is a phenomenon where an attempt to suppress information, such as censoring a photo or removing a web page, backfires by drawing more public attention to it. The increased visibility often happens because the act of trying to hide something sparks curiosity and leads to the information being shared more widely online, much like the case that gave the effect its name, where Barbra Streisand's lawsuit to remove a photo of her home resulted in the image going viral, which I don't even know about that case. I'm not... Okay, but now we know. And Ron Filipkowski posted this, and I was like, that is literally the irony. If Trump probably had just immediately, when he got into office, just dumped all of those files, and just been like, here you go, he'd probably have many fewer problems than he will have now. Which is indicative to me of, man, if you're going to go this hard, you're going to threaten people, you're going to break laws, you're going to do all this stuff to cover it up. Now we are interested because of the energy you're putting into the cover up, weirdo. And the mob boss threatens Republicans who may want to vote to release the Epstein files. And some of the clips I played yesterday, and I'll play for you today, like this one very interesting Caitlin Collins interview that Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie did yesterday. And I was like, God, are they delusional? I'm sure you guys have heard this. Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna are saying that after the release of this information, I've heard different numbers, like 40, 50, 60, 70. They expect Republicans to break ranks and vote to release these files. The highest number I think I heard one of them say was 70. And I'm obsessed with Capitol Hill, and I'm always reading congressional aides blogs. And I do think there's going to be quite a few, particularly Republicans. Yeah, no, there are. And I'm always going to err on the side of caution, but at first when I heard them start saying this stuff, I was like, what are you talking about? No, I mean, there's going to be many Republicans now that there's actual evidence who are thinking hey, when I'm running for re-election in 2028, I can't have people screaming at me, how can we trust you? You were actively part of a cover-up of child trafficking. You cannot, and don't worry, I'm going to get into the evidence of this, but I do feel a lot better today after all of the research I've done, and it does seem like it's not going to be just the 218. And also, let's give credit. Oh man, do I have something to show you guys? Oh my God. But I almost forgive her for it. Lauren Boebert, Nancy Mace, apparently it happened to Margarine as well. Trump was having meetings, calling them in, trying to blackmail or whatever, either the carrot or the stick. Hey, is there something I can give you in exchange for you taking your name off that? Or, hey, here's the leverage I have on you to take your name off that. And nobody has taken the bait yet, which I think is particularly, I was like, here we go. Nancy Mace is going to fold like a lawn chair, and she's still in it. But I will say this. A lot of these Republicans, I noticed it with Tim Burchett. I'm going to show you what Nancy Mace is out of her GD mind. I'm terrified to play it, though, because she keeps yelling grape over and over and over and other crazy things. But what they're trying to do, which I'll say this, at least they didn't take their names off the petition. They're holding strong. But they immediately, after all of these threats, they start being like Tim Burchett posted, the Democrats are trying to block the release of the Epstein files. Really? Or did every single Democrat sign the discharge petition? And Nancy Mace, for 8 minutes, last night, in the dark and rain in D.C. or something, she's yelling at people, being like, I'm not taking my name off the petition, but I'm not doing this. It's Trump's innocent. We know that. He's been exonerated. So it's they're doing this weird thing where they basically told Trump, yeah, I'm not going to take my name off the petition, but I'm going to loudly obfuscate and pretend you've been exonerated of all charges. But I don't care. Whatever we have to do to get these files released, which basically from Adelita Grijalva signing that petition, I believe the 7-day clock has started. So sometime next week, we should have these files released. Yeah, no, that I'm going to show you. Nancy Mace is out of her mind. Oh, Nancy Mace is... Have you, oh my God, I'm trying to wait if I should try to explain to you what's going on with Nancy Mace. I don't, because I think something very serious is going on with her. That's why I only told you guys about her attacking all those TSA agents and airport employees, and she's suing them for defamation. There's way more than that going on with her, but I don't know. I think it's really sad, and I don't know. Like, I think something really bad is going on. But she's going to yell about it when I show you the clips. But I can't play them in the beginning of this live because I'm very scared that the live is going to be taken down because she just lost her mind. But Summer Lee, in case you didn't know, there's a subcommittee, like the subcommittee where they were all in that room with the Epstein survivors and they all like came out sobbing. That subcommittee, the ranking member is Summer Lee, who I think is the most underrated congresswoman ever. So this was what Summer Lee was saying last night.
These women have been seeking justice for some time. You know, they came here and they spoke to us, some of them, and Speaker Johnson was there. And that didn't light a fire underneath him. He still slow walked this. So at the end of the day, it's so important to remember, just listening to that, how incredibly courageous it is for these women. I've said it before, and I know many others have made the point, but these women are going up against the most powerful entities, the most powerful individuals, and in some instances, the country and other, elected or royal figures in other countries. This is dangerous. This is a dangerous endeavor. So it's so important that we do not drop the ball here, that when they come forward, they are trying to give permission to survivors, maybe not of Epstein, but survivors of sexual abuse, of sex trafficking. And if we are not able to get them justice right now, it sends a message to other survivors, other victims, that they shouldn't come forward because it'll be too dangerous, because they may lose their jobs or livelihood or even their lives. So that's why we are carried. This is why we are going so hard for them right now. These women have.
And let's not stop there. Like, I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, when we passed that, what was it, HR1, that ridiculous bill named after the woman who was unalived by an immigrant, and her parents specifically said, can you please stop using her name as like a political cudgel? But Trump continues to yell her name. And what became clear in that bill was, if you are a woman who's being abused, or particularly an undocumented woman who, let's say you're being raped and you call the police, you're not going to get justice. You're going to be deported, right? Or if something horrible is happening to you, if you scratch your abuser's face or your rapist's face while trying to fight him off, and then you call the police and be like, hey, someone's trying to unalive me or someone's trying to grape me, the results of that will not be that man being arrested. They literally created this loophole for abusers in order to target undocumented women in this country. They've made them more vulnerable. And if you're interested in more information about that, this is not me saying, oh, this could happen. It has happened. Absolutely, and you can easily Google what I'm talking about and find the specific cases, which are absolutely heartbreaking. Anyways, sorry. I promised myself I am not going on a tangent today. I am staying on track. We're almost to 100K. Keep tapping the screen. I appreciate it so much. Share the live. So I love Rick Wilson, right? Who's, one of the founders of the Lincoln Project. Gregory, mod for me, actually, and Fax. He works, I think, with Rick Wilson directly. He's amazing. And Katie Fang. Love Katie Fang, one of the most brilliant lawyers. DJ Bubbles, that was the nicest thing you ever said. Thank you for saying that. But I'll try to keep him to a minimum. They did a live together yesterday, which was fascinating. Or the day before. Yeah, the day before.
And look, there's an email in another group of emails that was from Wolf to Epstein on October 29th, 2016. And Rick, you and I both know we were in the throes on the eve of the presidential election. Subject, now could be the time, importance level high. Quote, there's an opportunity to come forward this week and talk about Trump in such a way that could garner you great sympathy and help finish him. Interested? Question mark. Michael Wolff knew something and didn't say anything.
And that wasn't Michael Wolff being a journalist there.
No.
That was Michael Wolff being
the way, just pointing out, I always love when I'm following a line of logic and then I find like support. Look, a white man was that not the first thing I said yesterday? Michael Wolff needs someone check Michael Wolff's hard drive. I'm telling you, this man is not a journalist, or he keeps pretending he's a journalist, and instead of doing any journalism, he seems to be what I was trying to think of last night of how to describe what Michael Wolff seems to be a sympathetic to three PDOs and their cause or their plight, and seems to engage in crisis PR management for three PDOs. That seems to be literally what he is doing. And I'm only saying this because, like, I am not shocked. I mean, you have to be dumb as a doorknob, literally, to not already know who Trump was at this point. Like, there's just too many data points, right? Like, it's just, like, we already know the best explanation, the most likely explanation, the most accurate explanation is most likely the simplest, right? Like, Occam's razor. But Michael Wolff, if you've watched him on these, he keeps showing up. So number one, I suspect him of being a malignant narcissist because he very clearly likes attention, and wants to be the quote unquote hero. He reminds me of a guy who used to do lives with Facts Still Matter and Matt and all the time, who has disappeared and was fired from his job at a large university in Florida, who it turns out was a scary predator. Just hypothetically, if that was something that recently happened. Anyways, that's what Michael Wolff reminds me of. You're like, oh, look at me, I'm an activist and I care. And behind closed doors, he is quite literally like, oh, hey, what my second job is, I help three PDOs do communications and PR strategy. Hey, Jen. Literally so suspect. I will never see Michael Wolff the same, like up to something.
A player. And look, I like Michael. We get along, but I do think he's in a point right now where this is kind of like that Maggie Haberman vibe. Yeah, you knew all this stuff about Trump and you saved it for the book, is the criticism she gets every single day. Now, I can argue that north and south, but in this case, she had coverage about policy shit in the White House. This is coverage about whether the president is a pedophile. These are questions.
So do you bring Michael in? Do you bring him in then, Rick? If your House oversight, do you bring Michael Wolff in? And now do you ask him?
They're already talking about that. You know me. I follow if JB Raskin says a word, I have found it and I'm listening to it. They want to. The question is little Jamie Comer going to help them do it? Because the Republicans, the ones who keep saying they care about children, it's so weird. They don't seem to want to find any information about the child trafficking, and they're literally. I would say, I mean, I don't know. The only thing I agreed with the MAGA base about was the release of the Epstein files. Maybe there's, term limits for Congress folks, and stopping and banning stock trading in Congress. I think those are all of them. But one seems, one is, I feel like a no-brainer. We should not be covering up for three PDOs just because they have billions of dollars or because they're involved in the government or whatever it is. Like, that seems to be absolutely despicable. And yeah, thank you so much. I love a crown. That's awesome. But yeah, I heard Rick Wilson say this and I was like, thank you, because that was truly one of the most disturbing parts of this. Bruce Wayne's mother's here. Hello. Nice to see you. Okay. And then, if you don't know who Norm Eason is, get really used to hearing that name. Norm Eason is super brilliant. He runs my favorite think tank in DC. What is it? Oh my God! Of course, now I can't remember what it is. Can someone look up the think tank that is run by Norm Eason and Noah Bookbinder? It's the think tank that got all the FOIA requests and exposed Pam Bondi being bragged by Trump about the Trump University scandal. Thank you for the turkey. Hopefully I inhaled some tryptophan. Wait. Norm Eason. Non-profit. Oh my God, this is gonna drive. Not that one. Oh, he's on the board of a lot of. Never mind. God, he's on the board of a lot of This is not the way. I'll remember in a second. It's like, oh, it's gonna drive me nuts because it's something I know really well. Anyways, Norm Neeson. I just want you to recognize his name. This is one of the people that Trump took away their security clearance, right? And like, so he's brilliant. Always listen to Norm Neeson. But this is him yesterday night.
A bit of a sneer there from AG Bondi. And of course, she was extremely combative in that hearing when the senators were trying to get at the truth. Luke, there are higher duties that an attorney general is supposed to have than defending whoever happens to be the president. And I think, again, it is part of the corruption of this administration that the president has installed those who were his personal lawyers, like Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche, who conducted the Ghislaine Maxwell interview in the...
Don't forget John Sauer, the Solicitor General of the United States, was Trump's lawyer.
Positions of responsibility, and they have forgotten their duties to the Constitution, the oath they've sworn, to the American people, and to these victims. That is evidence of victimization. And again, if you go to the emails today, again, if they're true, they're Jeffrey Epstein's statement. He writes to the journalist Michael Wolff, of course he knew about the girls. And there's plenty of public record evidence of that too. Video of him nudging and winking at Jeffrey Epstein as they watch young women dancing. Trump saying publicly that Jeffrey Epstein likes women and on the younger side. So that ought to be shocking. If you, to Mary's point, whatever his legal duties might have been, the character of someone who would be aware of this and behave as he did, that's not the character that you want for a president of the United States. Corruption. That's what it is. Playing a bit of a sneer.
That is quite literally the nicest way to say it. It's so funny. Who said that, by the way? Rebel Moon. Literally, it's true. I think this is like God's, if there was a God, but not the God of the Christian nationalists, because that God seems to be contradicting himself all the time. But literally, I think maybe these horrible scratchy voices are a punishment, like John Sauer's voice. It's like every day it's like RFK Jr. is the worst because he's probably the biggest traitor, and then John Sauer, it's like I can't even listen to oral arguments anymore. It's like, did you like cheese grade your throat before this started? Like, are you gonna make it through this? Like, it's literally unlistenable. And there's no video. It's like for oral argument. So all you just hear is this like cheese grater voice. It's like, what did I do to deserve this? Or what did he do? Oh, I love Ted Lieu. Let's hear it for Ted Lieu. I think is he the second in power in the House? He's either second or third. Second, third, or fourth. Kathleen Clark is the whip. Ted Lieu, I think he's second. And then there's the other guy. There's a Hispanic man somewhere in the mix. Those are the top four with Hakeem Jeffries. But I love like Ted Lieu's lawyering skills. It's like I feel like whenever Ted Lieu goes on a news show to talk about something, you could just tell. I feel like he's pleading a case to like a jury. You know, he must have been a great lawyer.
Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released some emails and other transcripts and other documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. What do they tell you, if anything?
The newly disclosed emails today are highly disturbing. They show that Donald Trump knew about Jeffrey Epstein's pedophilia ring and that Donald Trump spent hours with an underage victim. More emails are being released, and today, the 218th signature on the discharge petition was signed by Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva. So now it's going to force a floor vote on the House of Representatives to release the Epstein files. The Department of Justice better get their act together and release the Epstein files and stop this cover-up.
And when the White House says, as it did today, Congressman, that these were released by Democrats to distract from the end of the government shutdown and prove nothing, and that the president, when he knew Jeffrey Epstein, kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago and did nothing wrong, you say what?
The White House has not contradicted any of these highly disturbing emails. And oh, by the way, Republicans also just released emails as well. And so Republicans are seeing the writing on the wall. They know this is a massive cover-up of rape of young children. This should be a bipartisan issue, and the Department of Justice needs to stop kissing the ass of Ghislaine Maxwell and of covering up the Epstein.
Democrats on the House Oversight.
In case you want to know why I love Ted Lieu, I mean, I could show countless clips, but I just texted my favorite. Let me remind you, this is when the moment I was like, and Ted Lieu is forever, by God, forever. I will never forget the service he has done for the American people. This is a clip of the first time the House, was it Oversight or Judiciary? I think it was Oversight. It's finally started talking about the Epstein files and Trump's lies. And this is what I knew. Ted Lieu is whatever he's up to bat, he's going to hit a home run.
Thank you, Director Patel, for being here today. The FBI searched Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan residence, correct?
I believe that happened in 2018. I think there was 2 locations, sir.
It's 2019, and in that residence, the FBI found a safe, correct?
Remember this when Kash Patel was under oath and literally knew not one fact about a single case? You are the director of the FBI, and I'm only saying that because the last director of the FBI was Christopher Wray, another Republican who I'm not that particularly fond of. But let me tell you something. I watched 6-hour hearings of Christopher Wray with total recall. And if not, he had notes and would flip a couple pages and be like, yes, that was this case. This is when that happened. The outcome, that's still going through the courts. Like, we're waiting for the outcome. Literally, Kash Patel would be like, oh, we're waiting for that to be adjudicated. They'd be like, it was adjudicated and done 3 years ago. He had not one memory of a single thing that the FBI has worked on or done.
I don't have the catalog of evidence in front of me.
In that residence, the FBI found a safe, correct?
I'll accept your representation.
Okay. And in that safe, the FBI found topless and lewd photographs of girls, correct?
Again, sir, I'll accept your representation.
You don't remember this clip? We need to tap the screen, and everyone is going to be buying a pressure washer on TikTok Shop. We are all just looking for the pressure washers on TikTok Shop that we will be buying soon. Let's tap the screen and let's keep discussing the pressure washers we are all going to buy on TikTok Shop.
I don't know.
Thank you. It was all over the media at the time. There's a New York Times article that says Jeffrey Epstein is indicted on sex charges as discovery of nude photos is disclosed, dated July 8th, 2019. And the Times reports a trove of lewd photographs of girls was discovered in a safe inside financier Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan mansion. Author Michael Wolff has conducted numerous interviews of Jeffrey Epstein. I'm going to play for you a video clip of what Michael Wolff said Epstein told him was in the safe and what he showed the author.
And think about this. Now what we know, before you hear this, which is terrific. Now what we know about Michael Wolff, that he was doing some sort of like 3PDO crisis management for Jeffrey Epstein and knew about all this and seemingly was very close to it and fine with all of it, someone needs to check Michael Wolff's hard drive. Now when you hear this, I think you're going to get the point of why I'm so concerned. Like, somebody needs to keep an eye on this man.
Was in this safe. So let's please play that clip now.
Elected. I was sitting talking to Epstein, and he said, wait a minute, I got to show you something. And then he went into his safe, and he came out with photographs. They were Polaroids, I think, and he kind of spread them out like playing cards, and it was Trump. I mean, I think there were a dozen of them, and it was Trump with girls of an uncertain age at Epstein's Palm Beach house, where all of the things that he would ultimately be accused of took place. And I remember very vividly 3 of them. There are 2 in which Trump is, the girls, topless girls, are sitting on Trump's lap. And then a 3rd in which he has a stain on the front of his pants, and the girls are kind of pointing at it, sort of bent over, laughing.
So, Director Patel, I'm going to ask you a very broad and general question. As you know, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were friends. There are, of course, photos showing Donald Trump together with Epstein, correct?
I don't have the entirety of the photographs, but I think they've been photographed in public together.
All right. Are there any photos showing Donald Trump with girls of an uncertain age?
No.
How do you know that?
Because that information would have been brought to light by multiple administrations and FBI investigators over the course of the last 20 years.
Well, you know what? That's just not true, because no one knew about the creepy birthday message that Donald Trump wrote to Jeffrey Epstein until the Wall Street Journal disclosed it, and then all of a sudden, the Epstein estate provides it to Congress. So certainly, you weren't there at the search. You don't know what Epstein may or may not have done with those photographs even prior to the search. Maybe someone has it. Maybe the Epstein estate has it.
You raise a...
Donald Trump is...
Okay, so truly, do you see now? Like, because I have a almost photographic memory. Think about that, though. Michael Wolff, you're just saying this stuff casually. I think that was on the Midas Touch Network. But you're saying that you were sitting with a man who orchestrated a 3-PDO child trafficking ring, and he goes into a safe, pulls this stuff out, shows them to you, and you are like, you know what? Like, one day down the road, I'm going to make a lot of money putting this in a book. It never occurred to you to call local police, to be like, hey, I need to contact a lawyer and understand, like, what's best to do about this. Like, do you understand? And this was years ago. And that's, if you understand, like, and I should have brought this up back then when we were listening. I'm going to go back to the presentation. But when you heard people bringing up Maggie Haberman, if you don't know, I feel like at this point we all know who she is. Maggie Haberman is like the journalist that has had the most access to Trump. She works at the New York Times, and it's like she had all of this information about the coup, about the documents he took to Mar-a-Lago, and all of this stuff, and just sat on it until she wrote a book. And in that book, like, the DOJ and like everyone's like, what the you knew about all of this and have just been hanging out? Like, what is wrong with you? And I feel like that, I mean, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. That is best case scenario with Michael Wolff. That is the best case scenario we can hope for, which I think is a little bit delusional at this point, is and I'm sure this will be his defense. Oh, it's just like Maggie Haberman. Like, she knew all this insider information about the fake electors and about, all of that. And she sat on it, and like, that's what I was doing. But unfortunately, in this case, we're talking about child trafficking. You were being showed child porn. And you just were like, yeah, that was a good afternoon. And you did not feel, yes, silence is absolutely, silence and compliance. I usually say complicity, but that rhymes. I like that better. Silence is, that's my point. Like, I will never look at Michael Wolff the same. And now, and let's be clear, this man is absolutely, in my opinion, and I think anyone else whose brain works, he's trying to profit off this. And like, you don't get money for being part of a cover up. What year was it that Epstein was no longer with us? Like 2016 or 17 or 18? And these are years ago. Years and years and years. I mean, he has sat here for years chilling. Like, just being like, And if you've watched his appearances in the media, especially the last couple of years, he's like, oh yeah, I know all about this. Like, I know all of the truth, and like alludes to it all. Like, you are a creep, sir. And nobody should buy this man's book. We should collectively buy one copy so we can get all the information he puts in it. And then we need to probably just figure out like what to do with him, because Bannon has 15 hours of tapes on JE. I'm not sure what JE is. But again, I'm just saying there's a difference. Like, I could get it if it's like, okay, all this stuff was happening. Like, I'm a journalist. Like, you know, I can't, whatever you want to say, I can't reveal my sources. I took journalism 101 at university, never got past that because I was like, oh, too many rules. The ethics of journalism is very clear. And I think Michael Wolff is in clear violation, in my opinion, of the ethics of journalism, unless it will come out that he told the FBI about all of this and they covered it up. But it seems like he was privy to a ton of information. Literally, someone's pulling out child porn pictures and you're like just looking at him and hanging out. I don't know how we get past that with him. He's a weirdo, literally. Anyways, Epstein, some of the Epstein survivors were on TV last night and giving very interesting interviews. I want to play a couple. This is Danielle Bensky. She was on with Aaron Burnett last night, who's one of the last competent people on CNN. Literally.
To release the Epstein survivor who is calling for the Trump administration to release the Epstein files. And I know you spoke out at the Capitol along with others about meeting Epstein in 2004. At that time, Danielle was 17 years old. She said she was recruited to give Epstein a massage at his townhouse on the Upper East Side. At the time, she was struggling. She was desperate to make ends meet. She was an aspiring ballerina. Her mother had just been diagnosed with a brain tumor. She was trying to save her mother, and Epstein told her, she says, that he would help her mom if she brought him more girls. And Danielle, I am grateful.
Promise to save someone's mom who had cancer. Like, I don't know what could possibly be more despicable than doing something like that to provide, like, hope. 2004. Yeah, think about 21 years ago, literally.
The opportunity to be with you again.
Thank you for having me again.
So I want to get your reaction to what we're finding today. This tiny percentage of the total, but nonetheless new and stunning new revelations that we are getting in these emails involving Jeffrey Epstein, where he describes Trump in one as the dog that hasn't barked, in an email to Ghislaine Maxwell, where they're referring.
I don't know if anyone cares about this, but yeehaw, thank you for the hat. I can't wait till I can finally become an NPC and I don't have to do any research. And you guys can just pay me to pop popcorn with my straightener and yeah, wait, what was I just going to say? It was important. This was super important. Oh, well, I'll remember in a second.
To apparently Virginia Giuffre and Trump spending hours together at Jeffrey Epstein's home. We know that about it. We don't know the full context beyond that. But what was your reaction when you saw that and some of these other emails today?
I think the emails really speak for themselves. You know, you read it and you have a very visceral reaction to them. But I do think they just speak for themselves. And I think survivors have been very clear and consistent about our messaging that anyone who performs harm or anybody that has done any wrongdoing or has harmed people should face accountability. They should be brought to justice. And I think that survivors are holding strong to that sentiment. And I think that the only way we're ever going to be able to do that is by releasing all of the files from the government.
Right, all of the files, see the names, and obviously to the extent that victims want their names out there, we know that there are hundreds of victims.
This is the best Chiron ever. I know how dirty Donald is the best. Thank you for the ghost. I love ghosts. This is the best Chiron CNN has ever had.
Victims' names in there. There are also many men in there who participated, who knew, and they should be held to account.
Absolutely.
So we are learning that there was a major pressure campaign by the White House today. Now, we know there had been one for months. Trump said that anybody who would vote to release the files for that transparency, it's a hostile act to this administration. But today they invited Congresswoman Lauren Boebert to the city.
Oh, there's probably some MAGA lurking in the shadows stewing. If anyone can explain to me why an innocent man who has never been involved in the trafficking of children in any way would threaten to punish anyone that tries to help the survivors of child trafficking get justice. Now, yeah, if anyone can form a cognizant line of logic of why that is not indicative of guilt, I am interested to hear you try.
Situation room, an unprecedented meeting. The Attorney General there, the Deputy Attorney General there, the head of the FBI is there to try to get her to pull her signature from the petition today that moves this to a full vote on the House floor. What does it say to you that something like this would happen in the White House, in the Situation Room?
It definitely feels frustrating, but I think with everything that came to light today, we are starting to see more information. I feel like we're starting to iris in, and I do think that, first of all, I want to say survivors, and myself included, are incredibly grateful to the Republican women, particularly Nancy Mace and Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and of course, even though he's not a woman, Thomas Massie.
Yep.
I think we see so much media attention on this because Epstein was such a political figure, or a figure.
Out front now,
the second part of this, I just want to say, and this is documentable, there have been millions of dollars spent by Republican MAGA super PACs to pay MAGA, part of the MAGA cottage industry to harass Thomas Massie, to report his social media accounts, to get his accounts taken down, to make his life as difficult as possible. And he has talked about that in the past, the millions of dollars that have been spent. Again, if I was a person who was 100% innocent, that was not involved in this in any way, that's what I would do. I would stop children who were trafficked from getting justice. That makes sense. Again, MAGA, no one's requesting to explain to me how Trump's behavior is indicative of innocence. Can someone explain to me why every move that he has made proves he's innocent in this? Because that's what I do. When I'm 1,000% innocent, and the only evidence available, because Epstein's who's suspiciously unalived under circumstances. And by the way, if you don't know this, I never know what people know or don't know. Just understand, we have already confirmed, right? And I mean the congressional subcommittee and the DOJ, that the video of Jeffrey Epstein's quote unquote unaliving when he was in prison, there's a minute missing from it. So, I would just like everyone to explain to me how what we know factually has happened is indicative of this is how an innocent person behaves. Dolphin, thank you so much. You're the best mod. Thanks. I appreciate you managing this. That's what I need. I need somebody to manage my life. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, I got to switch. This is the second part. I just split it up into two pieces because it's so long.
There's been so much attention on our stories, but abuse happens all the time to women everywhere, and violence, happens consistently to women. So I think that there's just such a broader message that for those women, particularly Marjorie Taylor Greene, Boebert, and Mace, I think they are really standing up for women everywhere, and they're saying they're throwing down the gauntlet of what is acceptable in society. So I just really appreciate it.
And they're doing it under incredible pressure, right? Hostile act, all of it.
Never listen. Oh, and I have so many problems with these bigots, but truly, because if you would have told me when we heard yesterday unequivocally, and when I say unequivocally, let me just be clear. If CNN is reporting something like they were, and early on in the day, like at 8 a.m., they're like, we know that Trump has called Lauren Boebert. Then a couple hours later, it was Nancy Mace. And a couple hours later, he's calling Margarine too. And we know that there is going to be a meeting later where Lauren Boebert is going to come to the White House and they're going to pressure her to take her name off this discharge petition. And the fact that, because literally I remember going to sleep last night and like, oh God, I'm going to wake up and one of them is going to have folded like a lawn chair. The fact that they haven't, I do respect. I mean, you know, like that's all I'll say. But I think if you know about Lauren Boebert and her kind of not who she is in DC, but what's going on in her home life, I think Lauren Boebert has absolutely been the victim or a survivor of SA. Nancy Mace talks about it all the time. So I think that, yeah, like if this is the one thing, this is the line in the sand where you will stand up for something. I still have a problem with every other belief you hold, but okay, like this could be a starting point where I could see you as a human being.
Absolutely. I know that you and other survivors that you speak with talked to them, called their offices today in light of all this and this pressure campaign.
Yes.
Can you share anything about those conversations?
Yeah, I mean, basically we just call and leave as many messages as we can for them and just say thank you so much for doing what you're doing. And I know that it's not easy to stand with survivors, but we appreciate it. And I know when you're in it, you know, even just for some survivors, when you're in it, you feel like you're sort of in this little box and you don't really see the full gamut. And so I know so many people have reached out to me separately on media platforms and they've said, you know, thank you so much for doing what you're doing. Yeah. But it's tenfold for them because they're up against so much pressure. And I know it's so much harder for them to stand up for us. And so we just really appreciate what they're doing and hope that they will stay the course.
When Speaker Johnson said President Trump is for maximum transparency and he wants everything to come out, even though, of course, he said he's against the release of the files. Mm-hmm. Trump posted twice today that this is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Now, you've heard him say this many times. Okay? And every time he says it, I make the point I made tonight, right, mm-hmm. about what rape of underage.
God, I was trying to stop that word from being. God, I was like, I know it's coming. Missed it. I need to learn how to bleep out words on clips. I still haven't learned that. You know, you can like put a sound over something. I need to learn how to do that in CapCut because truly, like, and you'll see why I'm saying that when we have to play Nancy Mace's 8-minute meltdown last night. But yeah, Tootle, I would love to hear. Tootle in the chat was just saying that he has talked to Sarah McBride and she has a lot of stories about Nancy Mace, which I believe Nancy Mace is the woman who literally organized a hate campaign and tried to get her thrown out of using the bathroom when, yeehaw, thank you for the hat, when literally every congressperson has their own bathroom in their office. That's what I keep saying to people. Like, MAGA, you probably logistically, if I had to guess how many of you, and I mean like the hardcore bigots of you, there's probably like, let's say 22% of the country, you guys are hardcore bigots. You're going to need to use the bathroom at your house. That's the solution. You need, yeehaw, thank you for the hat. You need to go to the bathroom at home. I don't want to be in a bathroom with you either. You guys need to use the bathroom right before you leave the house and then use the bathroom when you get home. That's the solution. Stop going in public restrooms. Nobody wants to be in public restrooms, weirdos. Hold your breath, pee for 15 seconds, and run back out like the rest of us. I have never made eye contact or looked at a person in a public restroom in my life. And if you are doing that, if you are like Nancy Mace, the creepy bathroom monitor, I'm more scared of you. Get out of the bathroom. Why are you in the GD bathroom? It's super creepy. Hold your breath, keep your eyes down, go to the bathroom, walk back out. If you are doing anything else, we should call the police on you. Like, that's, why are you in so many bathrooms? It's super weird.
Girls is, right? Yeah. Not a hoax. But he keeps using that word. I am curious as to whether you feel anything at this point every time that the President of the United States uses that word to describe the abuse that you endured?
I mean, it's a little degrading for sure. You know, we're real people. And at this point, I just don't know what more you need to show that it is not a hoax. You've had, you know, there are 1,000 victims. We know this. I know personally 20 survivors that are out there doing media. You've heard from a lot of us today. And so it's like we've all told.
No, I'll talk about that. Do I wash my hands? It depends on the bathroom. It depends on how many things I have to touch. I am not a germaphobe. I'm really not. I'm not some OCD person. But if I believe I'm going to get dirtier and there's no paper towels with which I can then open the door back up and I have to touch the door handle anyways, it might be a game time decision if I just run out and then immediately get some hand sanitizer or something. Yeah, it just depends on the bathroom. Like, have you ever been in the porta potties that have like sinks? Yeah, no, I'm not staying because I'm holding my breath. Like, that's what you're missing. I'm not breathing because I don't want to smell the bathroom. So it depends on how much oxygen I have and then how clean the bathroom is if I stay in there or if I just have to run out. But like, no, I am concerned. I do wash my hands a lot, but it depends on the bathroom if I'm going to stay in there. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I'm so confused, but I do get it now. When like that comment I put in, that's true, you know, because there are some things that go on in bathrooms. That's where repressed homosexual men, signal each other for hookups, which is so, I mean, and I'll say this, if you guys have never been, like, if you think women's bathrooms are gross, go in a men's bathroom. I don't know how anybody is hooking up in a bathroom. They must be able to, they're like divers who can hold their breath for 4 minutes. I have no idea how any of that is occurring. My only goal is to get back out of the bathroom with touching as few things as possible and breathing as little as possible. You know, it's like every time I run out, I'm like, made it.
Our stories on a variety of platforms, and we didn't know each other going into any of this, and yet our stories are consistent and very similar in a lot of regards. So, and you know, we didn't know that until finally we got together, and it's like, wow, I'm not alone in this. So when you see like the sheer volume of survivors, and on top of Virginia's book, on top of emails, on top of all of these sort of, I mean, the testimonies that were given, Guylain's hearing where survivors were being asked to be cross-examined on like literally things that should not, like the definition of breast versus chest. Like we've been under a microscope, to such a degree that to now call it a hoax at this point, still after all of this, I just don't know what else he needs or what else the public needs to understand that this is real.
Well, I think people know it's real.
Yeah, and that's literally still, thank you. I love gum. I just can't chew it during these lives. Yeah, think about that though. I mean, I would say of all the very unintelligent men who can't read and do math and on their like breaks from whatever they do for a job, they like show up on this in the chat in this live and they're like, the Epstein hoax. You are shaming children who were trafficked. It is the ultimate. I don't know what I literally don't know. The next worst thing you all do is when children are pew-pewed down in schools and you gaslight the survivors, the parents of those children who are begging for help, begging for policy changes, and you gaslight them and say, oh, sometimes we're going to have to lose some kids in the name of the Second Amendment. But then Charlie Kirk was lost in the name of the Second Amendment, and you guys care about that. I will never understand how your guys' weird brains work. It's unforgivable. But I can't imagine being one of these children who was trafficked by terrifyingly rich and powerful men, finally get a chance to speak their truth, and then a bunch of weirdos who are in cognitive dissonance shame them after saying, literally, the only thing we care about is releasing the Epstein files so we can expose all the 3 PDOs, which you guys believed were people on the left. And here's the thing. I'll say this again. I've always suspected Bill Clinton was a creep. This is my opinion. When and if it comes out that Bill Clinton is a creep, I will say, I knew it. I knew it the entire time. So I'm not to say like this type of behavior transcends political parties, but I do think there's a large concentration of these people on the right, because what happens on the left, if in fact you are exposed for, doing unspeakable things like abusing children, you have to take accountability and then you got to leave. And when I say leave, where do you think these people go? They go to the right and say, I was railroaded. The liberals canceled me. Like, you are the harbor and safe space for creeps. That's what you guys do. You take in the creepy stragglers that we eject from the left. That's who you are. Like, that's what people know. Oh, I got canceled on the left. The right will accept any level of creepiness. Like, so I'll be okay over here just because I heard a few kids. They love it over there on the right. That's who you guys are. You're the safe place for, Russell Brand is, you guys are the safe place for creeps. And so that's the thing. And people are always like, what about Bill Clinton? Well, great. I can't wait till we find out the truth so that I can move him on over to the right, where you guys will then embrace him when he's like, the left canceled me, and you guys will be like, isn't Bill Clinton a great guy? The right is the last stop of creepies. That's what you guys do. They're like, oh, you refuse to take accountability, so you got canceled. And that's what I keep telling people. Well, I mean, if you've hurt children, that's a different degree. But there's a lot of situations where it's like, hey, accountability will set you free. You just have to learn to take accountability, which is a very powerful, freeing thing, right? So, yeah, all these people, whoever they are, I'm sure you guys they'll all have MAGA podcasts soon. And, you guys will be like, yeah, just because you did a little child trafficking, that's so rude of the left to cancel you. That's who you people are. That's what you guys do. You literally harbor creeps. It's like your thing. It's your personality at this point. Oh, and let's look at math, because I always, MAGA, here's some math about whether or not you guys continuing to say that this is a hoax is helping you with American people who can follow lines of logic. Oh, wait. Oh, my God. I'm so sorry. I didn't refresh my email. Joe B1, love you so much. Thank you so much for the $50. Hey, everyone, if you can give Felice a couple bucks so she can get a new computer, please do. She really deserves it. She spends so much time. You're going to make me cry. She spends so much time keeping us informed. Please show your appreciation. That is the nicest thing. Jennifer, whatever, I love you. Thank goodness for the victims. Oh, great point, too. I was going to make this point. Oh, my God. I feel bad. I forgot. Jennifer, great point. Thank goodness the victims are mostly white. Have you guys thought about this? Exactly. Think about this. If all these victims were undocumented brown people, or they were, black, do you think it would be going a lot worse for them? That is a great point. We'd never have seen / heard any of this. Exactly. That is the best point. If these were undocumented brown people, they'd be like, they shouldn't have been brought here as babies, even though they had no choice, so they deserved it. That's literally, and I'm MAGA, I want you to understand, that's not my lack of empathy. That is the line of logic you follow every day. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking about a woman who had called the police. She was being physically and essayed, and called the police for help. And she was roughed up and is being deported. And the response to that was, she shouldn't be here anyways, even though I shouldn't be here, and this isn't my land either. She deserved it because she shouldn't be here. Because that's what Jesus taught you guys in the New Testament, is claim a patch of land that does not belong to you and then justify the rape and assault of innocent women. That's what Jesus directed you to do in the New Testament. That's exactly what it was.
when you talk to you hear from the victims, it is very clear what they want. They've made that clear again and again. What does the American public think about how Donald Trump has been handling the Epstein files compared to all the other issues that he brought up during the campaign?
Yeah, you know, Donald Trump is underwater on basically every single issue he ran on in 2024. But the Epstein files, the Epstein case, are especially dreadful for him. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look at Trump's net approval rating on the issue. Look, they're all in red. They're all in the negative territory. But on immigration, you know, he's 5 points underwater. Foreign policy, 8 points. Trade and tariffs, he's 17 points. The economy, 18 points. But look at the Epstein case. He is 39 points below water on the Epstein case. His net approval is 39 points in the negative. My goodness gracious. What Donald Trump...
Literally, can everyone see this? Immigration, 5 points underwater. Foreign policy, 8 points. He should be 50 points underwater on foreign policy, but MAGA doesn't know anything about foreign policy or what is normal, so they think that it's going well. I actually think the 8 points underwater of foreign policy is just further proof that MAGA can't read. And also does not understand, like, what does good foreign policy look like? You know, they're like, yeah, starving thousands of people in Africa, that's a good idea. Like, they don't know. Trade tariffs, negative 17 points. The economy, negative 18 points. That should be negative 90. And then the Epstein case, negative 39. Keep it up. You guys are nailing it. Trump is now the least liked president in history and the second least liked, representing his first and second terms.
It's been selling on the Epstein files, the Epstein case. The American people, simply put, have not been buying at all, Sarah Seidner.
All right, so is there any sign that things have gotten better, since there have been some things that have been released?
Yeah, okay.
Although released by Democrats.
There have been some things that have been released. Donald Trump has been trying to make some sort of case saying that, you know, the folks don't necessarily care about it. But take a look here. Approval of the Trump admin on the Epstein case in early July, right when you had those DOJ droppings, right? It was 17%. Look at where we were by late September, the latest poll I can find it. 20%. You know, we often talk about Donald Trump having this floor, right, of at about 40%. On this particular issue, he is less than half the level of the supposed floor. There is just nobody in the electorate who is buying this. They do not like the way that the Trump administration has been handling this case one iota.
Before he kind of pivots, or not pivots, but talks about something else, I wanted to say, because I did see, and sorry I didn't see who wrote it, but someone said, what is Trump's current approval rating? Which I was going to say like 37%, which is the lowest in history, because that's what it was when they were like, Trump is officially less popular than his first term. But if you Google what is Trump's current approval rating, oh my God, all of these articles come up in the last 24 hours. Donald Trump's disapproval rating jumps to 58%. Trump hits lowest approval rating of second term in DDHQ at polling average. Donald Trump suffers big drop in net approval rating in new poll. Yeah, apparently within the last 24 hours, people hate Trump even more than the most hated president of all time. It's literally 58% of the country disapproves of his existence, which I think 58% of the country's brain works. That's probably, you know, what I mean. And then the stragglers will come in, and then it will narrow down. There's probably, like, nearest I could tell, like 22 to 26% of the country who are either in cognitive dissonance or are idiots or are profiting off of the MAGA cottage industry or like the grifting, or a combination of all three of those. So yeah, I assume this will be whittled down even further as we continue on. No, don't even get me started on the rest of the world. My favorite activity is using VPN to pretend I'm in Europe or pretend I'm in Australia so I could see. And Dr. Danny and I used to talk about this. Like, if I show you guys an article and I'm in my location, my VPN on the internet says I'm in the United States. Thank you for the guess. literally will have different words than if I turn my VPN location to Australia. I look up the same article and it has different words that are being filtered or blocked in the United States. Or same thing with Europe, same thing with the rest of the world. It's fascinating. Yeah, it's fascinating to do if you've never tried it. And then you could find reality TV all over the world. It's interesting. Faith, thank you for the $25. You're doing amazing work. Never stop. I will not stop unless I accidentally get too depressed again and I have to take a little break. Becca, thank you for the $20. I love how thorough you are. Get that computer. I know. Trust me. It's for all of us. It's just keep looking up the truth. I will literally keep us all sane. I was never sane, but clinging to the last vestiges. Vestiges is a word that MAGA doesn't understand. You look it up. VESTIGES. That could be your word of the day, MAGA.
Republicans have generally said they like what Donald Trump is doing, generally speaking. How do they feel about the Epstein case?
Okay, so you see, approve of Trump on the Epstein case. This is overall, right? And you see 17%, you say 20%. That is way below the 40% floor that Donald Trump supposedly has. How does that possibly happen? It's because of Republicans. Because look at this number. Okay, Republicans who approve of Trump's job as president, 87%. That is basically in line with the long-term average, 85, 90, 95%. But look at the Trump admin's job on the Epstein case. Just 45% of Republicans, less than half of Republicans are even buying what the administration is telling. Look, we're not necessarily...
In my opinion, this is interesting, right? This shows the break in the cognitive dissonance, because that 87%, the way this Republican, we are literally in a point which when those 7 polls came out, just the legitimate ones that came out prior to the Tuesday elections on November 4th, and I was showing the shift of Republicans and how they were excuse me, that was wrong. Independents have left Trump. Literally, they're gone. We're all now in a giant group of people that disagree on everything, except for we have a grifting weirdo in the White House, and we need to stop him. That's seems to be the one through line. But independents are gone. They were prior to Tuesday's election. I mean, and at least we're getting to a place now where polling works, right? But yeah, so independents are gone. And instead of Trump being you know what, this is very ominous for me. This is why I continue to believe that Trump is planning in some way to fix elections. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't like to even talk about this stuff without proof. I mean, I'll talk about voter suppression, about, I can talk about, I can make a mathematical case just with voter suppression about how Kamala Harris lost the election. I could take you through a mathematical argument. It's too long and people didn't enjoy it the first time I did it. So I have learned to stop doing things like that. But the truly interesting part, was it Eric Swalwell? It was possibly Eric Swalwell, but don't quote me on that. Who people are now if you don't know, which probably you do or don't, Dominion voting machines, which are used all over the United States. After they won that huge judgment against Trump, they sold Dominion to a psycho Trump lover. And there's this huge pressure and campaign to get individual states to reject the use of, because there's other companies, right? There's Smartmatic, there's other companies with voting machines. But I mean, it's similar in my mind when I try to draw a line of logic or comparison to it. It's the same thing with when Elon Musk bought Twitter, right? Look what he's done with that. And this is similar. So if you buy all this proprietary information for 10 times what it's worth, then now you know the secrets in the sauce, you know how to control it, you know what to look for. I mean, that's essentially what has happened. They have bought the algorithms for Dominion voting machines, which I mean, even if we get rid of those voting machines, I mean, they definitely have now a lot of proprietary information about how voting machines work and how to manipulate them. So yeah, it's just, sorry, that's a very depressing thing to bring up right now, but it's something a lot of people are worried about, because I would say, And actually, it'll just be, again, the Republicans telling on themselves. If, for some reason, the midterms don't echo, like, these are never before seen polling numbers. What happened on Tuesday in Mississippi and Georgia, in places that other people don't follow elections, like, there is definitely a loud drumbeat to give people back their health care and get rid of the creepy guy who says men shouldn't wear makeup but has makeup on every day. So if the midterms, seem to be disproportionately off from all of the math that's being done leading up to them, yeah, that would be concerning to me in a lot of ways. That's how I felt about the last Tuesday, November 4th elections. I was like, that's why when people started being like, oh, Mikey Sherrill won, I was like, yeah, if any of these people lose, it's almost mathematically impossible that any of them will lose. So if they do, in my mind, that's a red flag. But yeah, if you didn't know about the Dominion voting machine stuff, I'd just say look it up, because it's something interesting to know and to understand.
Sure whether or not this case has moved the ball on Trump's overall approval rating yet, but I can tell you that the more that this case is in the news, the worse it is for Donald Trump, because simply put, it is his worst issue by far.
We could be seeing a vote on this next week. This case is not going away anytime soon.
It is not going away anytime soon, and that is bad news politically for Donald John Trump.
When you dare all these children trying to get justice for being trafficked, so rude of them to interrupt Donald Trump's grift fest in order to get justice for child trafficking victims. Yeah, Donald, oh my God, what is the video I saw? Like, what was, like, the Syrian president was in the White House, like, on Monday, and Trump is spritzing his cologne on him while the guy is trying to, like, dodge it. I literally cannot. Like, we're literally accosting people with Trump's, what is his cologne cost? Is it $500? And the guy's like, no, thank you. And Trump's like spraying it on him. I can't even, it's like, I used to find this stuff funny, and now I'm just like, someone needs to go, MAGA, go get your creepy grandpa who keeps putting on makeup every morning, and you need to get him you need to gather him up. Like, someone needs to get to gathering that man up. Oh, and here's my update on, we all know Fetterman needs to go on and get. Like, I've had it with Fetterman. Hold on, let me read this one, because I have two of my Fetterman needs to get out. Oh, yeah. So do you guys remember when Joe Scarborough from Morning Joe and Mika, they went to, like, Mar-a-Lago and were just, hanging out with Trump? And then they're like, why is everyone mad we're hanging out at Mar-a-Lago? If you can't figure that out, weird Nepo baby, then we can't explain it to you any longer. If you don't get it, whatever. So, of course, when John Fetterman literally this morning, wants to cry, John Fetterman is a victim of us, apparently. We are not treating him so nicely because he continues to not be able to read, folds like a lawn chair at every turn, and is confused about where his loyalty lies. So here's John Fetterman this morning crying to Joe Scarborough and saying, you know what it's like to be canceled for getting on your knees for Trump. Now they're doing it to me too. I was like, is this a real life? Send John Fetterman some knee pads. That's what he needs. Why can't I hear this? Oh no, I will hear this. This is so. Oh God, sorry.
Very
sorry. I fixed it.
But it is though for you though. Don't you find the Senate? Don't you find political life in Washington D.C. to be very isolating? Haven't you talked about it's just a real challenge day in and day out, isn't it, to do the people's business there?
No. I mean, it's like an honor. It's an honor to be Pennsylvania's voice in the Senate.
Right.
I'm just trying to find a way forward in that. And I know both of you have been punished to have a ongoing dialogue with President Trump. I got hit just to have dinner with him after he invited me to have that conversation. Pennsylvania keeps people honest. It's like, in the most purple state in the country, it's like there's both sides. And I've always refused to call the other people, they're fascists or Nazis and those kinds of things. Trying to find a way forward is challenging, but that's the reality. And it's absolutely an honor to represent Pennsylvania Senate.
But it is, though, for you, though, don't you find political life in Washington, D.C. to be very isolating?
It's okay. White men who've had every privilege in life, are you guys going to make it powerful, very rich? And if you don't know, I'm saying Joe Scarborough is a very clear Nepo baby. You can look up who his parents are. Are you guys going to make it white males who've had every advantage in society and still are crying like you're a victim of something? Hey, John Fetterman, it's not that hard for me to not get on my knees for Trump. I find it very simple. Like, I don't know, like, what are you talking about? You, in every moment. Oh, wait. Oh, my God. Now I remember what I need to show you guys. Let me just show you guys the other one, because it's even worse. Both these clips happened yesterday. This is why I cannot stand John Fetterman. Let me find the second media appearance he did where he was crying like a baby because him being a creepy weirdo is not being received well by people. Like, are you serious? I don't even know if he's serious or kidding. Like, I want him to just be like, just kidding. I know why everyone hates me. Anytime I'm supposed to like hold a line or stand up for something, I fold like a lawn chair and betray the people that elected me. And so now I know why everyone hates me. It's like he can't figure it out. It's terrifying to watch. And here, hold on. I might have to find this live. I'll find it in a second. It's in my regular outline. But what he's saying in the other clip is he's like, America's not gonna be my kids aren't gonna be raised in socialism. Sir, read a book. Can you read a book so we don't have to like try to teach you that you don't know what words mean? John Fetterman is MAGA. He needs to stay over there with other people who don't know what words mean. Like, you truly, oh, here it is. Wait, hold on. No, wait, hold on. I'm almost there. I'm finding it. It's somewhere close. I can feel it. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through my actual outline. Where are you, Fetterman, you loser? Oh my God, I'll find it in a second when I'm playing another clip. I just don't want to waste time finding it. But his other crying fit, this is my outline. His other crying fit was about, my kids aren't going to be raised in socialism. Tell me some more. You have no idea what socialism is. Like, I know you don't know what words mean. Every time I listen to you talk, I find out more about how you don't know what words mean. Like, oh, you want to raise your kids with a guy who covers up child trafficking rings and is literally, and this is the irony about saying I'm against socialism. I never understood because, my view on socialism came from like an academic setting, right? Like, I just went to university and I was trained by people who aren't idiots to understand socialism. So I've always thought of that as like, okay, that's a postmodern America, post-World War II, like PR campaign to be like capitalism, good, socialism, communism, bad, and they just don't know what the words mean. But it's so ironic to me now, right? Remember when that guy last week goes unconscious in the White House and Trump won't even turn around? It was like an executive from Novo Nordisk or whatever, a pharmaceutical rep. And one of the things when I rewatched that, because I never miss Trump lying, I watch it at night so I can have nightmares about it. When I went back and watched that, what was going on is Trump was doing what he did to, who is it that gave Trump 10% of their company? Is it Intel? He was saying that they need to give him 10%. which I guess would be Americans, but what we all know now is Trump, any money that comes into the American government, Trump is like grifting or giving to his friends. And it's insane. And now I know whatever nightmare, and I'm saying this nicely, Meg, I'm trying to help you guys find your way out of the paper bag. There's a whole side of the paper bag that is open, so you just need to turn around and walk out of the bag. You can get out of the paper bag that you've been trapped in for years. The only people, right, what I now understand, because you were preconditioned to think socialism is a fascist dictatorship or totalitarian type of government where it doesn't involve democracy. There's just this dictator who's like, I'm taking 10% of your company. I'm taking this of your company, right? That the only person I've ever seen do that since I've been tracking politics, like probably for at least 15 years, is Donald Trump. He's what you fear, the guy you're on your knees for, being like, hey, when I'm done giving him this BJ, I'm going to use both hands to give him a Andrew Jackson. Like, that man is the only one who's done anything that you fear. That's it. I've never seen that. Now, if we as American people want to create policy, like this is why I started the live this way, poverty is dictated by policy. Inequality is dictated by policy. Right? Trump stole 10% of a corporation, and where do you think that money's going? It's not going to equality. It's not going to SNAP benefits. It's not going to education for children. It's not going to anything other than other corrupt projects. Like I could never get why MAGA was what they were talking about. Yeah, your nightmare is happening. You're blowing the guy who is doing it. That's it. That's the facts. But again, you would have to be able to read to figure that out. And not watching pathological liars in the MAGA cottage industry of podcasters who are paid. I could be so rich if I just lied for Trump. Can you guys imagine if one day I just showed up and I'm like, I'm here to defend Donald Trump? I could have millions of dollars because I could do it. I would be I'm smarter than all those people. I could be rich if I lied for Trump. So you can't listen to the people that are lying for Trump. You may have to use the supercomputer in your pocket to find actual information. But what you fear, what your quote unquote definition of socialism is, like people just stealing parts of businesses, Trump's doing that now. Rainey, thank you so much for the $50 for the computer. Thank you. And thank you every day for your support. You're the best. I'm so glad. I feel this is going to sound creepy, not because I think we met like a year ago, and I'm so glad we did. Thank you for being here. Okay, sorry. I switched presentations. I found it. Oh my God, I knew it was here. Here is John Fetterman crying about how his kids aren't going to fall victim to exactly what Trump has done in the last 3 months. Yeah, okay. It's like, can somebody come get John Fetterman? He's not okay.
Changing. And you believe that this may be, at least in part, about your party changing, and the populist movement in reaction to MAGA and the Democratic Socialists, that this may be a moment where they want to take over the Democratic Party.
I promise you, America's future and my party's future is not socialism or kinds of outlandish far left kinds of ideas. And it's been a year ago, after we lost the election, a lot of those parts and part of those ideas pushed our party over the cliff. And that's why we're in this situation right now. That's why we're firmly in the minority. And that's why we've lost control of the White House.
firmly in the minority by one vote because Trump told brown people he was not going to round them up and put them in camps, and then now he's rounding up and putting them in camps. Do you hear, like, are you okay? And I just saw some people like he fell. You know what? In a weird way, I feel better now because I was like, this can't be, like, you can't, like, you have to hear that every single feeling you have can be contradicted by actual facts. Your fears that you've stated are what Trump has done, and you're redirecting that for some reason at the Democratic Party, if you could read and do math.
So some people, if you think that's a solution, that's fine, but it's going to be a competition of ideas, and we know that's not going to prevail. What's going to prevail is common sense. What's going to prevail, choosing this country over, part of the extreme in our party. What's going to prevail is common sense, and I do believe, for me, in the kinds of chaos that we have in this Trump administration, we should respond with order and logic and patriotism, and not shutting down our government right now. And that's where I'm at. And I don't know why that's controversial. That's not a big tent party. If you're not allowed to have the opinion that it's wrong to shut our government down and put these people in the middle of it and now referred to as you're a traitor, or, saying all these other.
It's not controversial, I guess, to have no idea what you're talking about and blame people that are doing the opposite of what you're accusing them. You do you, bro. But stop blaming, I can't. And let me just remind people, the only reason John Fetterman is a senator in Pennsylvania is because our other choice was Death Squad Dr. Oz. If you remember, Dr. Oz, who's never lived a day in his life in Pennsylvania and was trying to pretend he was from Pennsylvania. Do you remember when he was going to, professional sports games, in Pennsylvania with, a jersey on and trying to photograph himself there? Like he had been there before. Yeah, I just reminded people how we ended up here. It was a good choice. Now Dr. Oz is just making sure no one gets Medicaid anymore and being an awful, Dr. Death is making sure no one has access to Medicaid. But that's why John Fetterman is there, is because our other choice was the guy who does medical trials on animals. This is a big deal. Edwin said, does Fetterman, thank you, Dolphin, I'll do it now. Does Fetterman always wear a black hoodie? This has been not just a black hoodie. You just don't see him. What do you think he's wearing underneath? It's just dirty white boxer briefs. No, I'm kidding. He wears not just a hoodie. He wears dirty basketball shorts too, and I mean that because I have zoomed. There's stains on them. People have tried to sanction him and stop him, but when they tried, that was before he became a turncoat, which is another proof of my point that when you will get on board because you may or may not be mentally unwell or going through health issues and you side with Republicans, all of a sudden they were trying to get him thrown out if he did not wear anything besides dirty basketball shorts and a dirty black hoodie. And then when he started agreeing with them, all of a sudden they're like, oh, he's a maverick, he's an outlier, it's fine, I wish I was in basketball shorts. Let me give you another example of that because I think people are not understanding how serious it is. Jamie Raskin, the last 2 years, has been actively fighting cancer and been doing chemo. He went completely bald. I never missed a congressional hearing. And at one point, he was trying to spray paint trying to make it look like he had hair when he didn't. And he started wearing a bandana because it's just, it wasn't looking good. And Marjorie Taylor Greene and other monsters in the House tried to force him because the rule technically is, I suppose, let's keep tapping the screen. We should be at 300K. Tap, tap, tap. The rule is that you can't wear a hat, and they were going to try to sanction him and force him to not have a bandana on when he was going through chemo. And you know how they stopped? Do you know, Jamie? Oh, I'm going to show you Jamie Raskin yesterday. Jamie Raskin and the gentleman from Massachusetts, Jim McGovern, that's where we're going after this. I'm going to show you how brilliant they are. I told you this. Jamie Raskin could sit on the Supreme Court one day. He's brilliant. But the only way that the Democrats could find to stop them from sanctioning Jamie Raskin for accidentally getting cancer and going through chemo and losing his hair and needing to have a bandana on is they pointed out, oh my God, what's his name? There's like several Republican Congress members who have toupees on. And they were like, okay, if a bandana while you're doing chemo is a hat, then so are all your toupees. So as soon as all of you take your toupees off, then J.B. Raskin will take his chemo bandana off, but all of you need to pop your toupees off. And then they let it go because they're like, yeah, I'm not going to take my toupee off. Literally, you can look this up. That is how they got them to leave him alone. But who terrorizes cancer patients? That's who these people are. And they're like, yes, okay, so hats. Anything on top of your head is a hat, so all of your toupees need to be taken off right now. And they're like, never mind, I guess I don't want to take my toupee off. Yeah, let's do that. Let's get into things outside of Epstein files, even though I have many more interesting things. I want to show you guys some people fighting for us in Congress because, well, first of all, I just want to show you guys something. So you know how idiot John Fetterman and I'm saying that not like get well soon, but you have no idea what you're talking about. And in the time you've been in Congress, you're a U.S. Senator. If you're going to be one of 50 elite people in a club, if I was him, I would make an effort to learn something or change some things or figure out what's going on. John Fetterman has not, like, literally, what you didn't know the day you were sworn in, you might know less now. It's upsetting. Oh, wait, I'm going to do this because I just want to say I'm not stumping for Chris Murphy to end up being the Democratic president for, the 2028 Democratic candidate for president. But if he did end up being that, I don't think it would be the worst thing. I'm just saying. I just want to show you because I didn't sleep last night. I was clipping things and watching the arguments in the Rules Committee, or 2 nights ago, and I wanted to find this clip because I never saw Chris Murphy like this, where he was literally just like, I'm exhausted. And I was like, I would be too if I was you. Like, the fight is taking a toll on him. That was the first time I've ever seen him. I'm like, oh my God, he is not okay. Oh, it's here. I'm almost there. Here it is. So this is Chris Murphy's video, which I never played for you guys, after we realized that the Hateful Eight senators coached by Chuck Schumer were going to fold like lawn chairs and get nothing. Which, by the way, we now have audio of Tom Emmer confirming that. Remember how all those 8 idiots were like, I'm doing this because all the people who were fired during the shutdown are getting their jobs back, and they promised. Tom Emmer is caught on a radio show just being like, they absolutely are never being rehired. So every single thing that has happened was for nothing.
The vote hasn't closed, but it looks like 8 Democrats have joined Republicans to vote for a temporary reopening of the government for about 2 months, but a bill with no protections to stop the coming healthcare disaster in this country caused by Donald Trump's premium increases, nor any provisions to meaningfully stop Trump's corruption and his illegality. You can see how tired I am. I've been here all weekend. I've been working throughout the past few weeks to try to prevent this moment. After the elections on Tuesday, it just became absolutely clear that the American people do not want Democrats to be bullied into submission. They want Democrats to fight for their health care. They want Democrats to fight Trump's illegality. Bullies gain power when righteous people yield in the face of their wrongdoing. I didn't want this shutdown. I want it to end, but not at any cost. And of course, I wish that there was a path to saving this democracy and saving people's health care that didn't involve pain. This shutdown hurt. It did. But unfortunately, I don't think there is a way to save this country, to save our democracy, without there being some difficult, hard moments along the way. The people came out on Tuesday in huge numbers, and yes, it was a referendum on Trump, but it was also a referendum on us. And I think there's going to be a lot of very angry people out there in this country. I know there will be a lot of angry people out there in this country, having watched just a handful of Democrats join with Republicans. And we still have fights ahead where we've got to be able to unite as Democrats. This won't be the only consequential moment between now and next November. But there's no way to defend this. And you are right to be angry about it. I'm angry about it. And I'm just going to get up tomorrow and go to work to try to convince all of my colleagues that this is a unique moment and the necessity to stand and fight, even when it's hard, even when it involves pain, is necessary, more necessary today than at any point during any of our political careers.
Never, and I don't want you to think I'm stalking Chris Murphy, but I do know from, every hour to hour where he may be, what he's eating for lunch. If we really, to me, if I could put a candidate for 2028 president, it would actually be him. I have never seen him look or talk like this. This is when I knew, shit is bad. And who's the other, I'm trying to remember the other person. Someone else was like, oh God, who was, it was Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff was the same way, and he's like, yeah, you guys are shocked. We've had a couple of days to process this. So, and what I took from that was meaning these idiots who folded lawn chairs for zero, told the rest of them on Friday, right? And that I've never seen this man look this way or be yeah, I just need a little bit of a rest. But that's good. It's okay. Who hasn't crawled into their depression cave for 2 months and then come back fighting? That's fine. I'm just saying this is a person who has empathy. This is the face of someone who, when people are in pain, is clearly being directly affected by that. And you know what's funny? That's the bare fucking minimum. Or let's say in the past, the bare fucking minimum would be let's elect people that have empathy and care when people are suffering and dying. Yeah, Shiv was very much lamenting the 8 senators, but he's a lawyer, so he was actually lamenting it and being I've had longer to process, and then being here's my strategy going forward, which I still have those clips if you guys are interested, because I was okay. And Sheldon Whitehouse too. Sheldon Whitehouse was yeah, I feel immense pain. I'm exhausted, but let's make a plan to go forward. But I did see someone, and I just want to be clear because I know my delivery can be aggressive at times. I'm not mad. I saw someone saying Tim Kaine is the only one that his vote makes sense. And I was thinking when I saw that comment, are you saying that because he's from Virginia and the federal workers who were fired, are from that state, or the majority of them, I should say. That's probably the more accurate way to say it. The majority of those workers are from that state. Yeah, except for here. And now and I just want to say something. They know this isn't true. Let me say something. I love Tim Kaine. it's so hard for me, because when we have these moments where I'm will these people ever just tell us the truth? Hey, Tim Kaine, if you're under pressure, if you're being leveraged, if you're being blackmailed, can you just tell us what's happening and tell us why you feel you need to do this so that we can back you and defend you? That's the problem I have, is I don't know if we're ever, and I have pored over the congressional aid blogs to see if anyone's saying anything. Let me show you what I was talking about, though, with these. Tom Emmer goes on a show and just confirms, literally, yeah, got him. Joke's on them. We will not hire back any of these people. I'm not saying Tim Kaine is lying. I'm saying I'm just very surprised, maybe is a better word, that he would believe. At this point, you tell me, would you believe a word anyone said, a Republican person said, whatever they promised you, whatever they said could or would happen? Would you believe it? Every single time the Democrats are like, oh, I have empathy and I want to help people and I'm going to try and do the right thing. It has never, ever, every single time it's like, just kidding. And I'm saying this because, oh yeah, you know how I was talking about that man who used to do lives with Facts Don't Matter Steve and like Matt, and he was not actually a professor, as we all found out later. He was a teacher at a University of Florida, and then he turned out to be weirdo liar. It's like very similar to some of the things he would say. It's like, I don't know how you could believe somebody or a group of people who have been in cognitive dissonance and protecting a pathological malignant narcissist for years and say, this time, every single time in the past, they lied and they've never followed through on a promise, but somehow this time they're going to follow through. Yeah, thank you, Tammy. I'm drinking. I have a lot of. Can I just recommend if someone needs electrolytes? It's a lot cheaper. Don't buy Gatorade. I drink Gatorade Zero. Too much sugar and the other stuff. There's powder packets you can buy that have all the electrolytes, and they're much cheaper. So if you need electrolytes, that's what I have in my pink water bottle that Gumps bought me. Thank you, Gumps. It is it's like the powder Gatorade electrolytes, but it's literally like, I think I got like 100, what would be 120 20-ounce bottles of Gatorade for like $35, which if you understand how much they cost, what is electrolytes? It's for hydration. It's things that help you stay hydrated. There's different types of them. You can just Google. You're literally typing that on a supercomputer. But yeah, the Propel packet, yeah. And you can get them for super cheap at times, so look out for them. Don't buy any more plastic bottles full of anything. Just look for the powder that you can dump into water, because it has saved me untold amounts of money. Okay, I'm going to play another Chris Murphy clip where he looks better, but it's like, I've never seen him like that. But first I want to show you, this is Tom Emmer. If you're like, who the is Tom Emmer? Tom Emmer is a gross human, and I mean that. Like, if you think Mikey J, that's what I call Mike Johnson in my head. When I put his name in outlines, it's always Mikey J. If you think Mike Johnson is bad, meet his number 2, Tom Emmer. He's a representative from Minnesota, and he has zero empathy. He's like a guy who regularly is like, do you really, like, why is Tim Walz like forcing us to pay for children to have lunch? Gross. Like, he's angry that children are eating a milk and a muffin at lunch. Like, that's who Tom Emmer is. So when I say, and that's the thing, because I love Tim Kaine, all I'm going to say is this. I don't think I'm obsessed with Congress. It's like collecting baseball cards. I know things about all of them. I'm so, it's like my thing. Tim Kaine is very smart, and he's been playing this game a long time. Do I think he actually believed that they weren't lying? I can't believe that. But I'm not saying he's a bad person. I'm saying if they have leverage on you in some other way, if there's pressure on you, or that's one option, which it's like, just tell us what's wrong so we can help you and support you through it. Or number 2 is, if you look at the list of the people, the 8 that defected, they're none of them are up for re-election for years and years. So if they were just like, hey, these are the 6 of us who aren't up for re-election, and like, the 8 of us that aren't up for re-election and you're in that group, just take one for the team and endure the hate. And they're like, you have a great line. You could be like, they promised to rehire all the federal workers. Then I literally sat up all night thinking, like, why, Tim Kaine? Why? That's the best I can come up with. Either they have leverage on him for something, but if they did, I think they would use it, or we'll see in the next election. Or that's really, if you look, none of those people, they're either retiring or they're not up for election 4 years. Thank you, G. Weber. I do appreciate, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. 'Cause sometimes I'm like, is anybody listening? Can we keep tapping the screen? If you don't have arthritis yet, you are not trying. The least you could do for me is get a chronic illness that will need to be treated by low doses of chemo. Thank you. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. I hope it is that it's just like, okay, Tim Kaine's not up for re-election and nobody can attack him soon. So that's why. Because here's Tom Emmer literally just saying, yeah, all the things we said we might do, that's not happening. Oh my, wait, what? No, hold on. Nope. Okay, here it is.
That money should go directly to Americans, which is what Trump has talked about. You're going to have to create high-risk pools again. Just go back where Minnesota was before this failed unaffordable Care Act. We literally based the healthy individuals were able to be in a pool, and you could have competition, insurance competition, that is, for different insurance products within that healthy market, right? You could do that risk assessment. Then we had a high risk pool because anybody who knows healthcare understands that a small part of the population consumes the majority of the healthcare because they need it. We had ways of addressing that by supplementing that population instead of doing what the Affordable Care Act did, which is totally upending the risk analysis by putting all of them together and saying the healthy people are going to be paying for the people that need more health care instead of dealing with the people who need more health care and allowing healthy people to actually have competition in their market.
He's describing eugenics. He's literally, and that's the thing, because people in MAGA, they can't read. They definitely didn't listen, and wait, let me correct that. Anything you're taught in high school history would not alert you to the fact that this man's talking, that was a primary belief of Mustache Man, right? He's talking about eugenics. That's what he's saying. And also it's it depends on how they structure it, but this is what John McCain, with one of his last breaths while a tumor was growing in his brain, when they were trying to make it so pre-existing conditions could eliminate you from eligibility from the ACA, and John McCain did the thumbs down. This is why. This is eugenics, trying to separate out the sick from the strong, the people who, we need to eliminate these genes from society. Let's isolate them. Don't worry, we're going to take care of you. That's what's going on. But also it's kind of idiotic as well. Well, I mean, depending on policy, that's what happened previously, right? Prior to the ACA, Obamacare, which is idiotic, right? Insurers could deny people with pre-existing conditions. We all have pre-existing conditions. Like at this point, I'm a walking pre-existing condition, chronic illness, whatever. They could just be like, no, thank you. You're in the high risk pool and your insurance costs exponentially more. This is literally eugenics. But the irony is, this same thing is happening anyways, right? Like, that's how dumb and I'm not talking about people in Congress. These people have the best insurance for the rest of their lives. They never have to worry about any of this. But for people who are like, I'm not paying for those brown people to have insurance, well, get ready to pay more. And here's let me give you another impression of another MAGA whose brain doesn't work so good. I work at a private company and they pay for my private insurance, so I don't want my tax dollars going to those brown people or poor people. Yeah, well, if we were, let me just help you. It doesn't matter what pool you're in. If we remove millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people from insurance pools, that the cost will be distributed in your pool too, or bankruptcy for insurance companies happen. Your rates go up too. And the fact people don't get this, the more people we have to collectively bargain, the less we all pay. Dummies. Jesus. Like, it's almost like, oh, and here's what I'm talking about, where Tom Emmer literally is like, yeah, we're not ever hiring these people back. Like, I love how Tim Kaine's like, now we're going to hire them back. I don't believe he doesn't know we're not doing that. I don't believe it.
Senator Ron Johnson had been working and has been working over the years to try to put together some sort of a bill that prevents this sort of thing from happening in the future. Were any of those provisions in this deal that came from the Senate, like you can't do the mass firings anymore or something like that?
No, the only thing that's pretty standard, the only thing that is in.
Just to be clear, you know, Tim Kaine's like, this will stop the rifts, which is like reduction in force, right? When you hear that RIFs acronym that he kept yelling, it means reduction in force, like mass firings. There's nothing in the bill that passed yesterday to protect anyone from those. And let's say there was something in there, it would protect people from mass hirings until January 30th. So Congress is basically on Christmas break for the rest of the time. And they would have been, they never did promise to not fire anyone else. They promised nothing.
Happening in the future. Were any of those provisions in this deal that came from the Senate, like you can't do the mass firings anymore or something like that?
No, the only thing that's pretty standard, the only thing that is in it is the government employees who were furloughed are going to come back to work, and they will be paid. They will get their back pay. So, you know, you've got
clear. That's not the mass firings that Tim Kaine was talking about. All of the people that Russ Vogt fired, that's not who we're talking about. Furloughed people are people who just were not getting paid. So if you show up to work, that's nice of you, but you're not getting paid, so you don't technically have to. Which, mind you, I don't know if anyone saw the clip where creepy D-list washed-up reality star Sean Duffy said that air traffic controllers who were not getting paid and didn't show up to work are not patriots.
You've got all these different, you know, Capitol Police, you've got staff people. They will all get their back pay to the 40 days. So that's pretty standard, Ox, and it's actually a law that was passed in 2019 that requires it. So, no, the president, I talked to him last Thursday. I had lunch with him, and we were talking about he's not going to bring back the people that they fired. They were unnecessary, otherwise they'd still be there. So they're not coming back.
Okay. So some of the Russ Vogt stuff will stick.
All of the stuff that they've done is sticking.
Senator Ron.
Just in case, and I just do not believe anybody could be dumb enough at this point to believe all of a sudden the mass firings they did on that Friday would ever come back. He is never bringing these people back. Yeah, well, I mean, I think you'd have to be crazy to believe at this point that Trump is bringing anyone back. And that, hold on, I know it's depressing, but I think we do need to like face actual reality that like nobody is bringing anyone back who they fired. I mean, they're not. I would, but they are not These people are out of their GD minds. I want to play some, like we talked about, Jamie Raskin and Jim McGovern were absolutely fabulous yesterday. It literally, I don't know, it just makes me feel sane when I hear them yelling. Actually, Hakeem Jeffries had a good speech too. Okay, yes, this is the start of Jim McGovern's rant on the House floor, and he's the ranking member of the Rules Committee, so that's like he manages the time for the speeches and stuff, and that's why he is in a constant fight with Michelle Fischbach, who is so gross, and you'll see what I mean as this goes on.
What the hell is wrong with them? While regular people are struggling to pay bills, Donald Trump's net worth has gone up by $3 billion since he became president. People's health insurance premiums are doubling and tripling, but Republicans say there is no affordability crisis, even as their tariffs are costing people an extra $1,200 per year. Regular people can't afford the rent, and Republicans are letting Trump gild his bathroom and build a ballroom to host the rich and powerful elites who own the GOP. These guys are bailing out Argentina. They're giving $40 billion to an entirely different country rather than helping the 42 million Americans who can't afford to put food on the table. And here's the clincher, Mr. Speaker. Buried in this CR is a corrupt kickback for 8 Republican senators, $1 million payday funded by taxpayers taken straight from the Treasury and deposited directly into their pockets. What the hell is wrong with this place? They promised to put America first. The only thing you guys put first is yourselves. Yourselves and the rich and powerful people who pull your strings behind the scenes. These people don't care. They don't have to call the insurance company because their claim was denied. They don't buy their own groceries. If you have a private jet, an offshore bank account, and an invite to Mar-a-Lago, go ahead and support your Republican representative. But if you're a regular person who feels like you're getting screwed over, if you are fed up with the status quo here in Washington that only works for those at the top, this majority is not fighting for you, but we are. Democrats are on your side, and we will fight with you every step of the way against the corruption, the lies, and the BS coming out of this administration. And we won't back this so-called deal. It's not a real solution, and it is certainly not a clean CR.
Imagine saying a clean CR, because that's what they keep typing on X. Oh, we're just funding the government so people can go back to work. Funding the government and guaranteeing 8 senators who were complicit in a coup to get a minimum of $1 million each. Does that make sense when nobody can afford anything? Like, that's the reality. That's how corrupt this is. But because MAGA can't read or do math, they're like, yeah, Donald Trump's my friend, and he said he cares about me, and if I give him a Andrew Jackson, he'll make sure groceries are cheaper. It's going so great. It's going so great for you guys, isn't it? Just keep working those risks. Keep those Andrew Jacksons coming. And any second now, life will become more affordable. But what is happening are giant transfers of wealth concentration at the top of the economy. And that's why I started this live by saying, poverty is based on policy. Inequality is based on policy. And if you don't know that, then you need to take a math class. So here is Michelle Fischbach, and this is actually a sign of cowardice, right? The actual leaders of the Republican Party did not want to show their faces while they passed this funding bill. So they always do this. They get a lone idiot woman to sit here and take the heat for this shit. Where's Mike Johnson? Where is Tom? We're not rehiring any federal workers. What Russ Vogt did is law. Where are these people? If you believe so much in this, why don't you show your faces and be the ranking member on the floor before this vote? Because they're cowards.
But I just want to comment on one of the issues, and I find the statement that Republicans were on vacation laughable. The idea that Republicans were on vacation during the shutdown, it's just simply false.
I don't know if I'm ever going to show you all the clips I stayed up 2 nights ago clipping, but when this bill was being debated in the Rules Committee for, all night long, and Democrats could bring amendments. Actually, that might be more interesting than this. I should show you. Every single Democrat that presented an amendment was like, welcome back from your 40-day vacation. You look rested and well. And they became so angry. They were screaming back at them. They're like, I wasn't on a paid vacation. They're like, yes, you were. That's why whenever someone's like, hey, did you have a great vacation? There's an explosive response.
It's false. Many of us were in Washington, or we were in our districts meeting with constituents, advancing local priorities.
Because when I heard this clip, I Googled and checked if she was meeting with her constituents. No, you weren't. Liar.
And staying full. Simply false. It's false. Many of us were in Washington, or we were in our districts meeting with constituents, advancing local priorities, and staying fully engaged with our constituents in our work. Our dedication to serving the American people didn't pause during the shutdown. Whether in D.C. or back at home, which for the record, I was in both places, and many of my Republican colleagues were too, we were doing the work we were elected to do. But I just want to comment on
getting on your knees and doing whatever billionaires ask you to do. Yes, I'm sure you were doing that. So here's the point. This is basically a fight back and forth. So Weirdo says that, and here comes Jim McGovern.
From Massachusetts is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, you got to love these Republicans. The gentlelady from Minnesota says they weren't on vacation. I want to remind her, you haven't voted for 8 weeks. And most people define vacation as you don't have to show up to work and you get paid. That's exactly what Republicans did. They didn't show up to work and they got paid. It was a paid vacation. I now yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman
from
I love Jim McGovern. I love Jim McGovern. Now here comes Austin Scott. He comes from one of the wealthiest districts in Georgia and is awful.
Now, as for the provision that's been mentioned a few times about the Senate language, I have introduced a piece of legislation already to repeal the Senate language, and I'm hopeful that we'll have a vote on that as soon as we get back. Mr. Speaker.
I'll say this, at 1 a.m, when these debates and angry amendments were being brought to the Rules Committee, there were, in fairness, a lot of Republicans who were like, I'm sorry, what are you saying? The taxpayers have to give 8 senators a minimum of $1 million? And he was one of the people that's like, yeah, I didn't, it's like he showed up and didn't, because they don't read any of this shit, let's be honest. He didn't know, and he's like, yeah, I do not want any people in my district to pay 8 weirdo senators $1 million. And here's my problem, though. It's I'm not sure if these people are mad because that's outrageous or because they don't get $1 million also. That's the only thing. I couldn't tell. It's not that they're this is bullshit. These people were complicit in a coup, and now we need to pay them $1 million each because a grand jury, which is made up of rando American citizens, wanted to see who they had been talking to. That's where that subpoena came out of. American citizens sitting on a grand jury saying, we would like to see phone records. These are the same laws that every mother person in the United States are subjected to, and 8 Republican corrupt senators are saying, the laws of America that every single person in this country are subject to, I would like to be above them, and not only be above them, I would like to be paid $1 million because not because I'm innocent, but because I'm not innocent, and nobody should ever question how shady I am again.
I yield the remainder of my time.
Reserve.
Gentlelady from Minnesota continues to reserve her time. Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Mr. Speaker, you know, a lot of these guys, I mean, they're all introducing legislation to repeal provisions in a bill that they're going to vote yes on. I mean,
So true. Don't point out the truth.
On the UC request, the chair will remind the gentleman from Massachusetts and others to please refrain from engaging in personalities toward members of the Senate. Gentleman is recognized.
He said nothing wrong. And when they say engaging in personalities, because that sounds strange, that means Jim McGovern was just like, yeah, that's strange. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And he's like, stop shitting on the 8 senators who baked in $1 million payout for each of them. We'll respect them. Why should we respect people who are grifting and stealing from American taxpayers? Like, there's no world in which any of this will ever make a lick of sense. That's a weird way to say it. Hold on. I need to go to part 2. This is how much work I do for you guys. Okay.
and I want to use this opportunity to talk about a last-minute provision that was slipped into the CR in the Senate. It's an outrageous giveaway to pad the pockets of 8 Republican senators, and it's one of the most corrupt things I've seen in my life. So if the House defeats the previous question, I will offer an amendment to the rule to consider as adopted an amendment to the continuing resolution offered by Representative Subramanian which would strike the corrupt giveaway out of the text of this bill so it does not make it into law. Mr. Speaker, this is a massive payday for Republicans. It would allow 8 of their senators to shovel millions of dollars into their own wallets. I'm talking cash money, not for their states, not for their constituents.
I just want to say it again slower, but you're going to hear many people say this. We are talking about, hey, if you want to get rich, try to overthrow the U.S. government. There's no punishment for you. As long as you're an old, creepy white man and you try to overthrow the U.S. government, if you just hang in there long enough, you may get a minimum of $1 million. That's our taxpayer dollars. No one is going to have health care, and we are going to spend millions paying creepy old white men who tried to do a coup.
No, for their own personal bank accounts. Why should a United States senator or any party get a special right that nobody else has? No state legislator, no governor, no judge, no citizen in the entire country has this right. But we are creating it for a handful of Republican senators. It is immoral. I'd say it's unconstitutional. It is wrong. And it's probably the most brazen theft and plunder of public resources ever proposed in the United States Congress. And it was tucked into this legislation. And I want to speak directly to Republicans who say they can't vote with us because it will delay the reopening of the government. First off, that's exactly what these corrupt senators were hoping you'd say. Second, we absolutely can send this back to the Senate. They can quickly strip it and send the bill to the President. They finished this package in less than 2 days. This is one small thing that needs to be deleted. It's easy, and it can be done very fast. But, and please spare me the excuses that we'll get this done next week with a new bill. Once this is law, that's it. It is signed into law forever. It will never change. It is permanent, and you voted for it. And Republicans all know that. So don't say you're going to pass some new bill next week to address this. That's just an excuse to do nothing that will fix it. Republicans moved at the speed of light to give tax breaks to billionaires, and the least they can do is give the same urgency to stop this shamelessly corrupt fleecing of the American people. Now, I get it. Trump is suing the U.S. government for $230 million, and I guess these senators want in on the action. They want their own payday. But I've never seen this level of grift, shameless corruption, and theft of public money in my entire life, ever. So, Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to insert the text of my amendment into the record along with extraneous material immediately prior to the vote on the previous question, and to discuss our proposal. I yield a minute to the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Subramanian. And I want to use.
This is why I love Jim McGovern. Like, I mean, this is reality, right? Like, Trump is suing taxpayers. He tried to do a coup, and we need to pay him $230 million. He's currently suing the BBC, which is the major network. It's like PBS in the UK, for $1 billion. Like, this is insane. The only people at fault, if you can read, which I can read, I've read every court document. Donald Trump, in my opinion, and anyone else who can read, because of the wire fraud involved in it. It's not like Billy said Donald Trump was trying to do a coup. It's information transferred over the wires. That's what wire fraud is. That includes, it at first was the telephone, invented by Alexander Graham Bell. Now wire fraud encompasses emails, phone calls, or any other. It's not like someone told us Donald Trump was trying to do a coup. It's things written down in no uncertain terms, but MAGA, you'd have to read. And literally, this is how MAGA, whilst you're on your knees, either giving BJs or Andrew Jacksons to Trump, I don't know. That seems like a really tough job. And just know he has robbed you blind. But because you can't read or do math, you'll never be able to figure that out. If I was you, I might check into it. I might be like, hold on, am I blowing a guy who is stealing from me? What? Are my wrists exhausted from Andrew Jackson's? For a guy who has stolen from me, who's grifting, whose net worth was like $590 million and is now $3 billion? In the, what month are we in? November. In the, what is that? 7, 8, 9 months? Since he's been in office? Like, if only you guys could count. Would you care, though? Or are you just like, my job is to blow this guy and give him Andrew Jackson's whilst he steals from me, and I'm in some strange way, which I'm not a kink shamer. It's like some of you are getting off on it. And I know people listening to this live right now are like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is a kink. Findom. It's called. Learned about it from people on this app. Financial domination. There are men who get off on being dominated by being stolen from, by being cucked, by being stolen from. It's a whole genre. Don't kink shame. I know, it sounds crazy. But that's the nearest thing I can think is going on with MAGA now. Like, because we now dwindled it down to, like, let's say there's like 26 to 28% of America that still supports him. And let's say and I say this in giant quotations, straight white men who are still supporting him. What? You guys didn't know about this? Oh, I've been talking about this for years. The first time I heard about this, I was like, I've been called to bully, to dominate men, and look up Findom, Findom. It is a whole genre where men like to be like dominated and demanded like to give up all the money they have. This is a whole thing. And it's so funny. I heard about this on TikTok, and now I'm like, this all makes perfect sense. You guys I knew MAGA men were cucks who were deeply insecure, who got off on like abusing women or, belittling women to make themselves feel like men. But now this makes sense. You guys are getting off on Trump taking everything you have. I didn't get it before, but it occurred to me when I was clipping all this stuff in the middle of the night. I was like, oh, okay, this is a Findom fetish. You guys are so dumb and so clueless, and also this could be a thing you actually like. It's like, oh, did Trump take more money from me? Oh, I'm getting off. I'm such a dirty boy and I deserve it. Yeah, I get it now. I see what's happening. Or at least I want to believe that's what's happening, because the only other option is that you guys are dumb AF. Like, you guys literally are the dumbest people on earth. And if someone's robbing you, there's no way for you to figure out who it is. And you're like, it's the Democrats. Like, I hope it's the FinDom fetish. I hope that's what it is. That would make me feel better about your level of idiocy, MAGA. Oh, and here's Chip Roy, who I can't even, if we get to it, I think we should get to it, because if you like these fights we're about to see on the House floor, you should see what happened all night long. Like, I'll spoil it, and one day I'll show you, maybe tomorrow. Chip Roy was trying to play, like, I just can't. I'm not going to say it. Apparently, Chip Roy recovered from cancer. While somebody else who recovered from cancer, he was trying to gaslight them and be like, who hasn't recovered from cancer? It's like, what? Like, Chip, please don't try to make any points ever again. You're awful.
I support this legislation. I know my Republican colleagues do. The question really is, will Democrats, or will they win?
Actually, hold on. I want to give Chip Roy, this is the time to give Chip Roy credit. Let's give Chip Roy his flowers. Every other time we are trying to pass a quote-unquote clean CR, and by clean CR I mean 8 senators who committed crimes and participated in a coup each get $1 million, among many other poison pills baked in. That is sarcasm. Like, all of these Republicans on X are like, why can't we just pass a clean CR? Because it's not, weirdo, and we're not giving you $1 million for participating in a coup, creeper. Like, are you okay? Like, I love, like, the pathological lying in the Republican Party. It's not that we need to get rid of Trump. Every single one of these people need to go. Every single one. And let's give Chip Roy his flowers, because at this point, yesterday when these debates were happening, normal Chip Roy would be saying, I don't support this bill. I don't support this bill. I'm a no vote. I'm holding out, until he was bribed with something. So at least this time he didn't make us all listen to him pretend that he had a sense of right and wrong and that he cared before he was bribed with something he wanted. At least this time he's just like, I'm a corrupt weirdo. Thank you, Chip Roy, for not making us all think for 1 second you cared.
To perpetuate the shutting down of government to enrich insurance companies. I yield back.
Expired. Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Well, a couple of things, Mr. Speaker. I don't think we want to be lectured by somebody who, over the years, has been the king of government shutdowns and who worked for a United States senator that pushed for a government shutdown and to object to the Affordable Care Act. But by the way, I just want to make it clear to everybody: this is a Republican shutdown. They control the White House, they control the House, they control the Senate. This government shutdown because they don't want to negotiate. It's their way or the highway. This is a Republican shutdown. They own it.
Reason I just want to remind everyone, which if you've been, this is episode 118 of the People's Receipts. If you've been watching the last shutdown, Chip Roy no longer was having fun, right? He is one of the original architects. He was raised and fostered and bottle fed by one of the original architects of shutdowns, which is like the Tea Party, like, we don't negotiate. There is no reach across the aisle and work something out. It is our way or it is nobody is paid. That was his mentor invented that policy. But if you remember the last government shutdown, Trump came for him. Like, they were harassing him in elevators, being like, you're a fucking weirdo. And so I think and that's what I'm saying. This behavior, it's like, I'm sorry, Chip, where's the man who believes in shutdowns? He has been conditioned to shut the fuck up. And that is, I'm glad I don't have to hear him pretend to care only to be bribed with something and give up in the end. But I do think, like, the fact the fight has been taken out of him is indicative of a fascist takeover where he's learned better, right? Like, he has felt like the wrath of Trump being like, everywhere you go, we are going to pressure you to shut the F up and change your opinion. And that seems, he folded, as all Republicans do in the end. If I could just put an epitaph on all of their tombstones, it should say, they folded like lawn chairs. At any point, they could stand for something. Oh, here comes Jamie Raskin. I promised you. Jamie Raskin is one of the most brilliant constitutional lawyers in this country, and one day, he very well could sit on the Supreme Court. Jamie Raskin was like a tag team. It was beautiful. Jim McGovern and Jamie Raskin just screaming at people. If only Republicans' brains worked half as good. I want to say something because often I'm just thought about this, so I think it's worth mentioning. I get a lot of messages from, Jim Bob and other people who are like, why don't you ever play the Republicans and what they're saying? I would if it made sense. If there was a Republican who was following a line of logic, and which I do, Thomas Massey, anytime, because I watch all this stuff live as well. And anytime if a Republican is like making a point that is not a pathological lie or there's not a complete collapse in the logic, I will play it. I promise. It's just, Republicans, I keep saying this to you. If the people you elect, like if you're listening and you're like, nailed it, there's something wrong with your brain. They are nailing nothing. They are never completing a cognizant line of logic. But if it ever happens, that's why I play Thomas Massey's lines of logic, because they follow through to completion without breaking apart.
The gentleman from Maryland is recognized for 1.5 minutes.
And thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. McGovern. This bill, which they now call imperfect, contains the single most corrupt provision for legislative self-dealing that anyone in this chamber today has ever voted on. It is such an egregiously corrupt act of legislator self-enrichment and plunder of the taxpayer that not only did every single House Democrat oppose it in the Rules Committee last night, but multiple Republicans were denouncing it. That is, before they were summoned into a side room and instructed to vote for it, which they all proceeded to do. Now they're telling us, vote for it today, and they'll repeal it, well, maybe next week, or maybe the week after that, or maybe before Christmas, they'll repeal it. I've got a solution for you. If you don't like this corrupt provision, don't vote for it today. That will work. This is a great bill. A great bill, that is, if you think 8 Republican U.S. senators should have a right to collect at least $1 million in a jackpot bonanza payoff from the taxpayers simply because they were subject to the exact same rules all other Americans were subject to and are subject to now. And they don't propose to change those rules for anybody else, not for more than 300 million Americans, not for the members of the House of Representatives, not for governors and mayors, but for themselves. They want to deal themselves a special legal privilege. In this Republican class war, Great Gatsby economy, where President Trump has made more than $3 billion since he reoccupied the White House, the federal building which he has proceeded to demolish in large part, where millions of Americans face losing their health care and their SNAP benefits. This provision is an affront to our taxpayers, to the rule of law, to everyone who believes. Could I ask for 15 seconds more? It is an affront to everyone who believes that we in public office must be the servants of the people, not the masters of the people who get special legal rights and privileges and multi-million-dollar payoffs. People who think that they have a right to better treatment than everybody else, like Ghislaine Maxwell in their prison camp where she gets room service, puppy time, and special gym privileges.
Gentlelady from Minnesota.
I mean, nailed it. Jamie Raskin, I hope I live to see the day. Well, if I'm not alive. Well, actually, never mind. I hope my untimely demise, I hope he makes it to the Supreme Court because he is brilliant. Nailed it. And let me just say this, because I always keep playing these and recording these clips and doing research of, MAGA farmers who are like, I don't know why Donald Trump is doing this. I won't make it another year if he doesn't change policies, but I still love Donald Trump. Where is your $500,000 payout? Where is your $1 million? That would actually help the American economy if we bailed farmers out. We are bailing out 8 U.S. senators who already are on a lifetime pension. I want to make sure everyone understands that. If you survive, what is it? It's either 2 years. Is it 2 years in Congress? You get a lifetime salary, lifetime 6-figure salary along with health care. And on top of that, which I think, in my opinion, is Trump making sure people stay loyal. Yeah, 2 years, 2 terms. Oh, 2 terms. Thank you, Blue Granny. See, I never have to remember anything. Exactly. That needs to end, and at least MAGA agrees on it. It's so weird how it never comes up for a vote. Then you get lifetime pension, lifetime health care. And on top of that, 8 people who participated in one of the worst crimes in history get $1 million minimum. Am I in fucking nightmare that never ends? What is going on? And MAGA's like, excuse me, I can't listen to you try to explain to me I'm being robbed because I'm very busy giving a Andrew Jackson to Donald Trump. Thank you, Lushan, for the $10 for the knowledge and the laughs. Like, this is the upside down. Literally, we're about Stranger Things last season is coming, but I think we're already watching it. Like, this is it. This is the upside down.
Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, we're getting lectured on governance by a guy who is just coming off an 8-week paid vacation. Give me a break.
Get over how many times they said this, and then, by the way, part of these debates, Mikey Sherrill, who's now the governor-elect, is she being technically sworn in? I don't think yet. Mikey Sherrill, who's going to be the governor of New Jersey, shows up to also be like, this is weird.
At this time, I'd like to yield 1.5 minutes to the gentlewoman from New Jersey, the next governor of New Jersey, Ms. Sherrill.
The gentlelady from New Jersey is recognized for 1.5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in opposition to a rule for a bill that does nothing to protect over 450,000 New Jerseyans who will see their health care premiums skyrocket. I took my first oath to the Constitution when I was 18 and went to the Naval Academy. It's an oath to serve, to run toward the fight. And so I ran for Congress after I saw Washington Republicans attacking the Affordable Care Act. I promised I would take on the status quo. I would fight the big fights, because that's what people expect of their leaders. That's what people deserve from their leaders. And I'm proud of the wins that I've delivered as your representative for New Jersey's 11th District. Capping the cost of insulin and prescription drugs for seniors, funding the Gateway Tunnel, the PACT Act for veterans, flood mitigation projects, delivering for Picatinny Arsenal. You have trusted me, New Jersey, and last week you placed your trust in me again, electing me your 57th governor. So I ran on a similar promise, to take on anyone and stop at nothing, to lower cost and build opportunity for everyone. This will be my last speech in this chamber. I intend to submit my resignation next week and turn to protecting all of New Jersey. So my parting message to Jersey is, thank you. To my staff, thank you for your dedication to serving the 11th District of New Jersey. To my colleagues, do not let this body become a ceremonial red stamp from an administration that takes food away from children and rips away health care.
Till 30 seconds.
Gentlelady's given another 30 seconds.
That rips health care away from people and takes food away from children. To the country, stand strong. As we say in the Navy, don't give up the ship. Thank you, and I yield back.
Don't give up the ship. And what MAGA would say is, why do children need to eat breakfast and lunch? I don't get it. How will that affect my life? And let me just tell you, MAGA, because your brains don't work, if you are saying, why should I pay for children to have breakfast and lunch while they're learning, then you don't understand how the government works. Every single bit of the taxes you've paid in to the government at this point are being used up now by the boomers. Children currently who are in school and their upward mobility in society will pay for your retirement. And the least you could do is give them a carton of milk and a sandwich, because if they, however limited their upward mobility is the amount of money that will be paid into your retirement, dummy.
Gentleman from Massachusetts.
I inquire how many more speakers the gentlelady has, because she doesn't seem to have very many.
I believe we have one more, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. All right. We have several. Mr. Speaker,
great.
I yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from New York, Mr. Castro.
Michelle Fishbach, are you okay? Why are you angry? Like, you took this job. And by the way, I want to remind everyone, the only reason Michelle Fishbach is representing the ranking member of the Republicans is because all of the creepy white men in leadership know better than to show their faces while they steal from the American people. So you agreed to do this, which is a sign to me that you are dumber than I previously thought you were. And then you're like yelling at people because no Republicans, like that's what you just heard. Let me just explain in case anyone's confused. Jim McGovern's like, we have a lot of speakers to go. And she's like, we have 2. Yeah, because no Republican wants to show their face in opposition to this, because people will remember the internet is forever. And she's like, shut up. Like, you shut up, idiot. Like, you're the dumbest person in Congress that agreed to do this.
Gentleman from Massachusetts.
I inquire how many more speakers the gentlelady has, because she doesn't seem to have very many.
I believe we have one more, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. All right. We have several. Mr. Speaker,
great.
I yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from New York, Mr. Ocasio-Cortez.
Gentlelady from New York is recognized for 1 minute.
It is great. It is great that Democrats have a line of people who are willing to fight for working class Americans from coast to coast in this country, because God forbid that we have a member of the Republican caucus who stands up and actually wants to extend the Affordable Care Act so that people with cancer, insulin, and issues across all sorts of health care issues across this country have their health insurance protected and extended throughout 2026.
Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Is great. I love her. She's like, shut up, Michelle Fishbach, you little weirdo.
Protected and extended throughout 2026. It is unconscionable that what we are debating right now is legislation that will give 8 members of the United States Senate over $1 million apiece. And we are robbing people of their food assistance and of their health care to pay for it. How is this even on the floor? How can we, as members of Congress, Republican or Democrat, vote to enrich ourselves by stealing from the American people? That is what this legislation does. In fact, Senator Graham just went before the press earlier today saying he was going to seek well over $1 million from the American people from this. We cannot support it, and we cannot stand for it. Thank you.
Gentleman's time to
know me, I found that clip just to confirm that Senator Flip Flop is in fact not just going to take his $1 million, but is going to sue for much more.
So
Must be filing a lawsuit.
oh, definitely. And if you think I'm going to sell this thing for $1 million, no. I want to make it so painful no one ever does this again. So
Must be filing a lawsuit.
Why? Well, South Carolina, I have no faith in your ability to think. But this is a man who's like, I'm going to get off on robbing the American people. Like, this is real life, people. Wake up. Figure out what's going on in the world.
Gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It was great to hear from the new leader of the Democrat Party, Mrs. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Unfortunately, we didn't also get to hear from their other leader, Mr. Zoran Mamdani. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to be...
Can none of these people pronounce anyone's names correctly? Is that, like, it's the same way they don't understand how to, like, adjective noun agreement? Like, it is, as a second grade teacher, why are you all so dumb? Like, oh, did you stick it? Let me help you, because I actually know things. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez approval rating in New York is plus 46. Plus 46. So while you continue to try to belittle a woman who is smarter than you on your best day, and I mean like by leaps and bounds, he's like, nailed it. I'm an insecure man who said something about a woman that everybody knows is smarter than me, and if you can do statistics, is much more popular than me. Nailed it. Yeah, zinger, weirdo who nobody knows who you are. Nailed it. Nailed it. Work on being reelected, creeper.
proud this evening to vote to reopen the federal government.
House will be in order.
Mr. Speaker, for 40 days, the
Democrats being like, get out of here, weirdo. That's what they're yelling here. That's what they call it. They're like, ew. Like, his name, by the way, is, let's call it out, Brandon Gill from the 26th District of Texas. Shocker, he's from Texas, where he learned to not respect women whose intellect far outclasses his own because it makes him feel uncertain and unsure and insecure. So what he learned from the patriarchy in Texas is, if I meet a woman who's much smarter than me, much more capable, has garnered more support, more power, more anyways, his strategy is, I'm going to imply she's dumb. This is not junior high, Brandon Gill. People aren't that dumb here. Nailed it. He almost had something. He almost did something there. He almost did, except for 0 people. I was trying to look up what his polling support was in Texas. I can't find it because it doesn't exist. That's the truth. I can't find if anybody cares about him or not because he is a non-mother factor. That's the truth. I don't know if anybody cares about Brandon Gill or not because nobody knows who he is. Literally, not a person knows who that man is. So yeah, I would try. Yeah, I get it. You're trying to get a clip for other insecure, flaccid MAGA bed who are like, yeah, you stuck it to the bartender, AOC. Yeah, again, she has a degree in economics and is smarter than you will ever be. And it's so strange because I keep hearing people say, we all need to have jobs. She worked her way through college whilst being smarter than all of you and now enjoys an approval rating in New York of plus 46. And for some reason, you all still try to tear her down. I get it. I can smell the insecurity coming off, Brandon Gill. Just keep going. Maybe at some point people will like you. Why don't you say something that matters? And then maybe people will change their minds about you. I literally can't find an American with an opinion about Representative Brandon Gill from the 26th District, because not a person knows he exists. I don't even think the people in that district know he's their representative. I can't find anyone who's like, here's how I feel about Brandon Gill, because he's a ghost. He's a non-mother effing factor.
Is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the gentlewoman for yielding, Madam Chair, once and future Chair of the Appropriations Committee, and thank her for her leadership and her kind words. I take heed, Mr. Speaker, of your comment to address my remarks to you and not to your colleagues. So I can say to you, and perhaps you can tell them, either they don't know what they're talking about or they don't care about meeting the needs of the American people. Did any one of them vote? Did any one of them vote to eliminate a need for a pre-existing condition in health care? Not one of them. Did any one of them vote to say if your children get to be 26 until they're 26 years old, they have access to your policy? Not one of them. Did any of them vote to eliminate bring a woman as being a pre-existing medical condition? Not one of them. The list goes on and on. Do any one of them vote for the Affordable Care Act, which, Mr. Speaker, you can tell them, was paid for? And then later, when we decided that we could extend the tax credits further so more people could have more access to care, did anyone vote for that? No. So all they have done is try to eliminate access to health care in our country. The public is catching on to them. You might tell them if a woman is born with a child that has a heart condition, she's out of luck with what they are proposing. If a father gets a stroke, forget about it. If you have a sibling with a disability, they don't care. And if your wife has breast cancer, you've got big bills to pay because they want to take away health care, whether it's Medicaid to tens of millions of people, $500 billion from Medicare for seniors and people with disabilities, millions of dollars added to the cost for families for access to the Affordable Care Act. The list goes on and on. Either they don't know or they don't care. I'll say one more thing as a grandmother and mother. How about the President of the United States on Halloween night having a Halloween party? Halloween party and saying to the Supreme Court, please don't make me feed the children or the poor people in our country. Going to the Supreme Court for that means cruelty is not even comes close to the word that is needed for that kind of behavior. The worst president for children America has ever seen. I yield back.
And that might actually be close to a fact, because I was trying to look into it. I mean, post-Civil Rights Act, I actually think this might be actually mathematically accurate. And let me just say something, because I know, like, insecure MAGA men who can't read or do math, they like to be like, Nancy Pelosi, she's up to something. Let me help you with Speaker Emerita Pelosi. No one, and let me be clear, all of the men, the Christian nationalists, like, we need to repeal and repeal 19th Amendment. Women should be in the kitchen, and their brains don't work so good because of emotions, so we can't trust them in any positions or jobs of power. Here's the thing about math, and this woman has... you are looking at the most effective majority leader in congressional history. Of all the insecure, flaccid white men who tried to leave Congress, of which I will say the most ineffective, flaccid leader of all time might be Mike Johnson. I thought it was Kevin McCarthy, but now I see it's Mike Johnson. This woman's record is impeccable. There has never been a better leader who never miscounted a vote, ever. So that's my problem with weird, insecure men saying that women can't do jobs. Why are women always doing jobs better than men if women can't do jobs? I, too, would make up weird lies about Nancy Pelosi or her inability to do jobs if I was insecure, flaccid, and threatened by women. I get it. If I was impotent and insecure and a man, I would probably also say that Nancy Pelosi couldn't do her job. But if you can read and do math, actually she did her job better than anyone else in the actual history of Congress. That is Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. Say her name with respect, creepers. Sorry. It just drives me nuts. Like, I can't listen to insecure weirdos who can't read be like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, you don't know what's going on. So when women speak whose brains work better than yours, shh, let us rock you into a gentle sleep while we teach you what's going on in the world. You guys are idiots, literally. And I said this yesterday, I'm going to say it again. I would love to take a 5. I would love for some man to be like, listen, I got you. You can just take a 5 and do whatever like excites you or whatever fulfills you. I'm not an idiot and I'm going to run the show. It's just, can somebody show me who that person is? Where is that person? I don't know. I would love to take a 5 and leave everything to men. The problem is, statistically, you guys have caused every single problem and never had a solution. Your solution right now is eugenics. Oh yeah, like let's just unalive all the poor people. Like that's the current solution. You guys are idiots. We can't trust you to do anything. And I'm saying this seriously. If any of you have any ideas, and I'm talking to MAGA men, and once you get done blowing Trump or giving him a Andrew Jackson and you're like, no, I have a good idea. Yeah, let's hear it. Because I would love to take a 5. I would love to not constantly be hyper vigilant because you guys don't understand what narcissistic abuse looks like. And you guys are literally in a narcissistically abusive relationship where you just get less and less every time, and then you like blow someone or give them a Andrew Jackson for the scraps they threw you. You guys are idiots. So whenever you guys learn to read and learn to do math, can you all contact me and let me know so I can take a break? Because I am tired of actually being able to count and read. I am tired of it. I would appreciate if some of you could start. Because it is absolutely ridiculous. Thank you, Queen Anne Lace. That's a beautiful name. You are beautiful. I'm not objectifying you. I'm sure your brain is also beautiful. Forgot a PTO payout, so here's towards your computer. That's so nice. Love you so much. That's so kind. I appreciate it. Okay, so I think what we're going to do, because I can hear my dad coming in the door and I need to take care of him. Let's talk about this tomorrow, and I have more of this, and I want to show some of the fights, because that's the real disgusting part. Actually, on the House floor, I feel like they are on their best behavior. The fights that were going on in the Rules Committee were insane. That's where actually Republicans were like, I think it's disgusting that 8 senators are trying to take taxpayers' money. It was like the middle of the night and they were exhausted and they're like, yeah, this is wrong. Like that. So I'll play some of that tomorrow, plus more Epstein stuff that will be awesome. I mean, awesomely disgusting, but, you know, speaking truth to power is the most important thing we can do. Never forget, the power lies with the people. And just because every white MAGA male who has any proximity to power has come to believe the only way to survive is to blow or give Andrew Jacksons to Trump, that is not true. You don't have to spend your life on your knees for Trump like every straight MAGA man says they are not doing, but very clearly are. There is another path. So we will discuss that tomorrow. Dolphin, I love you. I sent you my cell phone number. I'll go through my mods, Melissa, if you're still here, and I will find I will clear up some space for new mods. I appreciate you so much. Love you all. Later.